Hello and welcome to Pau in the south of France for the 2021 ICF Canoe Slalom World Cup final. This is the final race of the 4-race series, and of course we've got double points on offer, and with over 200 athletes from in excess of 30 countries, there's tough competition for places in those finals. Today it is the kayak women and the kayak men in action. It's semi-finals time, with a single-run semi-final determining who will be our 10 finalists in each category. So last weekend we were in Laseo Durel in Spain, just over the Pyrenees. We've taken the 4-hour drive across the Pyrenees to here in Pau in France, on this great whitewater stadium that hosted the World Championships for Canoe Slalom in 2017. Much better weather conditions. We had a lot of rain yesterday, but promised to be a settled, dry and warm weekend here. And I'm sure the action will hot up as we get through semi-finals and into finals. 24 gates stand in the way of these competitors as they strive for a place in the final. 6 upstream gates, the rest downstream gates. Myself, Andy Maddock, I will keep you informed throughout the racing here at Planet Canoe. And I'm pleased to say alongside me is Martje Otten of the Netherlands team. Very welcome to the commentary booth.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. So,
for those not so familiar with the sport of canoe slalom, then it is kayak time today. So the athletes sitting in the boat with a double-bladed paddle with the legs out in front of them. And here is our start list. So we have the fastest 30 qualifiers from the heats yesterday, racing in reverse order of the performances yesterday, but only 10 places in the final. That final will be underway at 12 o'clock Central European time. You can follow that live at Planet Canoe. But this is the top 10 from yesterday. Camille Prigent of France was our fastest qualifier in the heats. She will go off last in this semi-final, but of course Jessica Fox of Australia, so dominant last weekend, Matcha.
Oh, absolutely, especially also in the C1, but in the K1 as well. Like, she is so fast, probably currently the best paddler in the world, I think.
Yes, and also the leader of the World Cup so far. The standings after the 3 races we've had so far, it's Jessica Fox leading the way ahead of Elena Appel of Germany and Luca Jones of New Zealand. But we are racing now. The first of our competitors in this women's kayak semi-final on course, and it is Miren Lazcano of Spain, 24-year-old athlete. She was 32nd last weekend in Laseo, and well, the opportunity now to go better than that. Already better than that. She's inside the top 30, but this semi-final can give her a place in the final. But fast and clean is the name of the game.
For sure, and I think Miren is a very strong paddler. She's got a lot of power in her strokes, so we'll see if she can manage to be as fast to be at the top 10. It'll be quite tricky, I think, because there's a lot of good paddlers, and the course is quite tricky today.
Yes, let's talk about the course, because you've got obviously 24 gates, 6 red and white upstream gates, the rest downstream gates, and it almost seems to get more technical as you get down the course.
Yeah, it seems like this. I think today, because yesterday the course was different for the heats, and I think today it is quite classic, especially down at the bottom. This move is, I think it's a move that everyone will have practiced in training. The same goes for the classic Kraken move, which is the one we're going into right now.
So this move here, dropping over 18, then you hit the stopper, and you've really got to work hard with the white water to get across to the upstream.
It's quite tricky, as that wasn't really what she was hoping to do, I suppose.
So yeah, big problems there, and it won't be penalised with any extra penalties. 2 seconds of penalties for hitting a gate with any part of your body, your boat or your paddle, and a 50-second penalty for incorrectly negotiating or missing a gate. But yeah, the time just does slip away. We know from the forerunners that it's definitely going to be under 100 seconds of possible time, and well, at the end of the day, in semi-finals, it's just about getting through into that top 10.
Right, yes, for sure. And I think the forerunners today were quite a good indication, because being in France, we are lucky to have such a wide array. Ooh, there is some trouble in the exit into the app. The entrance into the app. But yeah, we're lucky to have really top-class athletes racing forerunners. So we've had some world champions, U23 and senior, doing the foreruns and the demos. So I think there'll be a good indication of what the times are going to be for the final spots.
Well, next up, it is Marta Bertoncelli of Italy. She was at the Tokyo Olympic Games in the canoe category. Of course, the canoe category will be racing tomorrow. And you can follow that live at Planet Canoe from 9 o'clock Central European time for the semi-finals. 11:30 for the finals tomorrow, but focusing now on the kayak. And Marta, well, she's a finalist at the Junior World Championships on 2 occasions. So, again, another emerging young athlete. We've seen a lot of those really starting to feature on these Senior World Cups.
Oh, for sure. And she is a very talented, very skilled paddler, both, like you say, both in K1 and in C1. Although I think she's had maybe too much trouble at the top of the course right now to really be in contention for a spot, but she is pushing down very nicely and showing some technical skill on the bottom here. It's good to see that she's keeping her spirits up.
Yeah, so that second split shows she's controlled the deficit, and actually that is how to do that
Very
move,
nicely.
18-19, and she may well have got all of that time back.
Possibly, yes, because that's where Miran lost a lot of time by having to paddle backwards, so she might have she'll definitely have made up some time here.
So we were talking about the course, Marta, and just looking on even these last few gates, it's so easy, you're fatigued, you're just trying to squeeze further time out just to pick up a penalty or two on the last couple of gates.
Yeah, it's definitely a risk, because I think maybe if you do this move in training, you'll be all right, but at the end of the course, you're so tired because it's so physical. So you have to make sure you keep the focus and control the boat, because, yeah, a touch can be very easily picked up and it can be so costly.
So Marta Bertoncelli of Italy has made up the time on the bottom section, gone into the race lead, 1:23.37. And we're now watching Hannah Thomas of New Zealand. 29th last weekend in Laseu at the 3rd World Cup of this 4-race series. And, well, Hannah's had a better top section. Look, 5.65 the advantage. Can she hold on to that as she comes down into the middle section of this Pau course?
Yeah, we'll see. So far, it's going quite smoothly.
And nicely done on the upstream gate there through gate 11, double upstream gate 12 here. And now, as you go under the bridge, you really come to the business end of the course. This is where it's so easy. All the hard work at the top of the course can just slip away with one or two little mistakes.
Yes, for sure. And I think on the top there are some hard staggers, like downstream combinations. But here with the 2 big stopper moves, it's I think especially for slightly smaller paddlers, it can be tricky to maintain it, and you could possibly lose a lot of time if you don't do it well.
So
but she's doing this really nicely.
Nicely across. Very confident move there, because she's committed to the to using the wave. And, well, she has the advantage. It was trimmed a little bit in the middle section, but Hannah Thomas of New Zealand is looking tidy here. 1:23.37 is the time to beat, but of course there's 30 boats in this semi-final and only 10 places in the final. And don't forget, the athletes are racing in reverse order of those heats performances, so in theory it should get quicker. But into the race lead for Hannah Thomas of New Zealand, 1:21.29, and that includes a 2-second penalty. So next up, Ida Novak of Slovenia, 27-year-old from Ljubljana, who was a finalist in Markkleeberg in Germany, the 2nd of the 4 World Cups. She finished 5th in that final, so very capable of making the final here today.
Absolutely. She's got such a nice style. She's very smooth and very glidey in the upstreams and stuff. It's exciting to watch her paddle.
So in the World Cup standings, there's 4 World Cups in this season's ICF World Cup series. And, well, we started off in Prague, in the Czech Republic, then Germany, we went to Markkleeberg, then Laseu de Gel in Spain last weekend, and then we're here in Pau. And here is double points. So at the moment, actually, Jessica Fox has a significant lead in the World Cup standings, 170 points, as opposed to Elena Appel of Germany, who's 132 points. So it looks like it's Jessica Fox's race to lose, rather than you know, that title being up for grabs, but that's
For
not
sure.
the case in the other categories.
Yeah, for sure. I think Jessica has shown so much consistency over the season. And she's just like I said, she's probably the best paddler around at the moment, because she's so good in both K1 and C1. And I think, I think it will be very exciting to watch her race, especially in the finals. Ooh, she picked up a touch there that's going to cost her some time. But yeah, it'll be exciting to watch the top paddlers coming down soon as well.
And those double points that are up for grabs in this race, clearly the first thing is to get through into the top 10 and into the final, and that's where the big points are up for grabs. And Ida Novak of Slovenia, 2 late touches just move her into 4th place. So just as we were saying, the bottom part of the course can undo all the hard work at the top.
For sure, and such a shame, because she was looking quite smooth in some of the ups.
Next up for the Czech Republic, Lucy Nedidalova on course now. So far in the World Cup Series, 23rd, 36th and 30th.
And again, quite a young paddler as well. So probably got a lot of, seems like she's got a bright future ahead as well. And a very smart, a very fast first split.
Indeed. And, well, you can expect a good performance from the Czech Republic. The Czech Republic, huge competition just to get into the national team. And that in itself raises the standards without people really knowing it when you're training and having to compete really hard just to get into the national team.
Absolutely. I think it's always really exciting. I think the whole canoeing world just watches the Czech selection races because they're just so exciting and there's such a high level of athletes. It's a very cool race to be following.
Well, this is a good run. 5.81
sure.
now, so extending the advantage on the middle section. A little bit sticky in the upstream gate 11. Sorry, it wasn't gate 11, it was 16, and now nicely through nice. 18 to 19.
It's so important to keep the balance and the control, to not like take the stopper too much on that move because it might slow you down, and just to really glide with it, which I think she did really well.
So there are a couple of reviews going on live as we speak in terms of penalties, but so far it's still a really good run coming together for Nedidalova of the Czech Republic, and she's going to take the race lead by quite some margin.
For sure.
Stopping the clock,
wow.
1:10.81.
That's a massive difference.
A great performance there for the Czech Republic. So provisionally a clean run, 1:10.81, but just video review being undertaken as we speak. So let's focus on our next paddler, and it is Anna Farber of Germany.
Oof, that's a shame. Such an early touch can really sort of mess with your head if you let it get to you. So I hope she can pull it back and not let it affect her too much. Maybe inspire her to push more to make up for the time. That was a pretty smooth section, I think.
So it does look very composed indeed, but 2.5 seconds down, mainly as a result of that penalty on the upstream gate 4. There's been some changes to the top of the course in the last 12 months to try and make it more consistent around gate 4, 5 and 6. What are your thoughts? Has that worked?
I really like it. I think, like you say, a couple of years ago there was entirely, she loses, oh shit, there's a lot of time, I think, for her. That's a shame because she was well on the way, I think, and very composed, like you said. But I think this is going to be costing her a bit of time. So I hope she can pull it back. But yeah, I think the new stopper on the top, it's more like a V, and I think it's quite an interesting feature. They had a bit of trouble in the beginning to make it stick. I remember one session we were doing, and the second run I come down, the stopper had moved and the obstacle was actually floating down about 20 meters away from me, which was not ideal. But yeah, I think it's looking really nice now, and it's quite stable, and I think you can do a lot of fun stuff with this. So a cool addition.
Anna Farber of Germany has had problems. That dropping low into the upstream gate 12 cost a significant amount of time. The 8.38 seconds now the deficit, and another penalty on gate 17. So Anna Farber of Germany now crosses the line, 1:20.14 into 3rd place. But it is still...
It's a shame because if you're low in this up, it's hard because you're quite close to the wall, and the stream doesn't really help you. And it's such a shame because she's a really good paddler, and I think she had some really nice sections.
Well, here's a paddler who was on form last weekend, on the podium. Third place, Eliska Mintalova for Slovakia. So one to watch. She was 9th in the final at the Tokyo Olympic Games and has been, well, on form for a lot of the season, but
Nice.
no doubt building up as well towards her home World Championships in just 12 days' time in Bratislava.
For sure, it's going to be an interesting race to watch, I think. I've been told the Slovaks, especially the young ones, have not had that much of a home advantage as they would like to, because the course in Bratislava has been completely renewed, and it's only been open for a short while, and especially for the U23s who've had the U23 Euros and Worlds, they have not had that much time to train on this course. But it's going to be, I think it's going to be quite new for everyone, and so it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen at this race.
Yeah, it's quite interesting whenever you have like a neutral World Championships. It can be interesting. I don't think it'll be a fully neutral championships, but you're right, the Slovaks haven't had much more time than everybody else. But Eliska Mintalova of Slovakia now on course and extending that advantage, 1.59 the advantage. She's kept it clean so far, and she really looks to be attacking the bottom part of the course. She's still got energy in those arms.
For sure, she is definitely moving her boat really fast and trying to keep it controlled across these pretty hard staggers.
So at the moment she's lying 10th in the overall World Cup standings, particularly boosted by that bronze medal last weekend at World Cup 3, and she will cross the line ahead, so that's critical. Into the race lead, 109.24, but the bottom part of the course just lost a little bit of time, so just still time up for grabs. But from one Slovak to another, it is now on course Jana Dukatova, who of course world champion in 2006.
Yeah, I think it's a shame she picked up a really early touch on gate 2 and another one now. It's going to be hard to make this up, but she is an absolute legend in the canoeing world, so hopefully she can manage to pull it back.
Yeah, Jana's achieved most things in the sport, and just at one stage, probably for a good 10 years, was just super consistent, always in the final, always in the mix.
For sure, and she has a very nice looking paddling style. She's got very long arms, and she seems to have such a nice stroke, and it always looks so effortless and almost as if she's not really pushing very hard, but then she is really fast.
She was 4th in Rio, and since then she's had a daughter, and yeah, continues to be able to perform at the highest level, but those 2 touches early on the course won't be helping her find a place in the final.
For sure, and I think it's quite hard mentally as well. If you make 2 touches at the top course to like refocus, it's difficult because you already know 4 seconds is a lot to make up, so it's hard to then like set your mind to it and push as hard as you can.
So this is the critical move. This is where you can lose a lot of time. Wow, that's good.
So
Jana Dukatova, super smooth on that move. She must have found a bit of time there as she comes into these last few gates. The downstream offset stagger sequence, 20, 21, 22, 23 and 24. And this is just where your arms are getting tired, your brain's trying to persuade you to try and take some more risks, and it's so easy to make mistakes. No problem for the experienced Jana Dukatova, 118.94, and into 3rd place for now. So next, Natalia Pasiepnik of Poland.
Another mother in the race. It's quite fun to see in our sport. There is such a wide variety of ages in the group. I think you have really young teenagers still racing in the semi-final, and then you have women who've had a child and are a bit further in their career, and they're all competitive, which is really cool.
And it's just a great role model as well for everyone else in the sport. You know, we've got Mayellen Chirot as well, still to come in this semi-final. Another mother, the Olympic champion from Rio 2016, took a medal in Tokyo as well, and still performing at the highest level at the age of 38, I think.
Yeah, it's really cool, really impressive.
So Natalia, an Olympic finalist from London, finished 7th in that event. She took a silver medal in the Prague World Cup earlier on this season, the first World Cup of the season. She was on the podium. In fact, it was a Polish 1-2. hasn't quite rediscovered that form over the remaining races. 12th in Markkleeberg, 22nd last weekend, so she'll be hoping to turn her season round as she goes into the World Championships.
Yeah, probably. I think the section she was doing before was looking quite smooth. She's struggling a little bit in that up before, but I think nothing too major. So I think she's looking at a time that is quite in touch with the current leader, which is quite impressive considering she's had a touch as well, added to her time.
A little bit sticky there on the downstream gate 23, but it's going to be outside the lead time, but surely into third place. No, into second place. 1:12.73 into second place. So it is Eliska Mintalova leading for Slovakia, ahead of Natalia Pasiepnik of Poland and Lucy Nesnitalova of the Czech Republic. That's with 9 boats down. Still 21 boats to go in this women's kayak semi-final. We're live from Pau in France for the ICF Canoe Slalom World Cup final. Double points up for grabs, but here in the semi-finals, the task is about getting into the finals. Those finals will be live on Planet Canoe at 12 o'clock Central European time today. Myself, Andy Maddock, will bring you all the action as it unfolds, and alongside me, Marcia Otten of the Netherlands team. So on course, we are looking at Elena Appel, who's second in the standings of the ICF World Cup after the first 3 races of the year. And, well, a little bit distant from the race leader, or the standings leader, Jessica Fox of Australia. But anything can happen in this double points race, and it only takes Jessica Fox to miss the final, which is unusual. But
it's unusual, but anything is possible, and a mistake is quickly made, so we'll see. I think she's been paddling quite interesting this run. I saw she was opting for a double spin at the top, which is, I think, a bit more conservative, but it was really fast and very secure. So hopefully that will pay off for her.
So at the moment, 7th, 3rd and 6th for the German in the World Cup series. So made the final on every occasion.
Yeah, that's very impressive and very consistent.
But the job now is to make it through to the final. And critically, I would say at this stage, ideally needs to take the race lead. In order to do that, lots of boats still to go, and it's outside of that time, only into 3rd place for Elena Appel of Germany. So it will be a bit of a long wait to see whether that is enough to make a 4th final from 4 competitions.
Yeah, it's a shame. She seems to have lost a bit of time in the bottom section, so perhaps Eliska was quite fast there, so we'll see. Have to keep that in mind when we're seeing the other splits.
So another
directly to another German.
Yes, it is Cindy Perschel, Germany. Now, Cindy Perschel, I haven't seen her on the circuit for a while. She was kind of in the full German team for a lot of the time, back in like 2012, 2013, and but she's still paddling well.
I think that spin might not have been entirely planned, but yeah, she was paddling in Ivrea this year as well. I think that was sort of from what I've gathered, the first race back for her in a while, and I think she did all right. And I mean, she's back in semi-final now as well. So I think she's the Germans. They have so many good paddlers. So even if someone has been out for a couple of years, they'll still be on a really good level.
Well, 4 seconds down on the first split. We'll get an indication now whether she's managed to make up any of that time on the second split. And it's going to be a little bit more. It's extended. 6.95 down on Eliska Mintalova of Slovakia, our current race leader. So a little bit of work to do for Cindy Perschel of Germany as she comes into this move. 17-18. You have to really work with the powerful white water here in Pau, and really tight on the upstream 19.
Very nicely.
So down through this last sequence, 21, 22, 23. And it's good to see. There used to be a really long finish sprint here in Pau.
Yes, I feel like the finish sprint have been getting shorter and shorter at most of the races, actually. I feel like last week in Laseo as well, the finish was a little bit higher up than before. And yeah, I think it's all right. I think it's focusing the time more on the actual gates than on the down sprint. So I think that's quite an interesting development.
So 5th place for Cindy Purcell of Germany as we watch Great Britain's Fiona Penny on course, 2-time World Championship medalist, 2006 and 2014. European champion in 2013.
I think this is one of the athletes for whom maybe a Finnish sprint would have been nice because she is so strong, and yeah, definitely one of the strongest women on the field, I think, physically. Like, she is able to pull her blade really, really, really hard.
Well, so she's putting together a strong performance so far. 1.15 down on the split. That's in touch. She now needs to consolidate this run and deliver the technical part of the bottom section. Very capable of doing that. And of course, she's pretty strong in the extreme slalom as well, which we will see this weekend. That will be again live on Planet Canoe on Sunday, tomorrow afternoon. So you can follow the head-to-head racing, the new discipline for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. And well, a little bit low for Fiona as she goes into the upstream 19. That will cost her a bit of time on the clock.
Yeah, it's a shame because she was using the speed from the Kraken really nicely, but just dropped down a little bit at the end.
So her coach, Gareth Wilson, will be watching her every move, I'm sure, as she spins through 22, 23, takes that on nice and forwards. But it's going to be outside the race lead time. Where is she going to slot in? Stops the clock, 1:14.80, and into 5th place for Fiona Penny of Great Britain. So it's still Mintalova leading for Slovakia, Pasiepnik of Poland in 2nd, Apple of Germany in 3rd.
I think Mintalova put down a pretty strong marker for everyone to battle against now. So it's always nice if someone early on puts down a good run, so we have something to compare to.
I would agree, and we know she's in form. She was 9th in the Tokyo Olympic final. She was bronze medalist last weekend in the 3rd World Cup of the season as we watch world champion of 2015, Katarina Mlynářek-Kuryová of the Czech Republic, now launching her campaign to make it into the final here. 0.87 down. She's looking very smooth, looking very in control here.
Yes, very nicely. She's another really good battler who's always capable of pulling down a really good run, especially on Prague. The Czechs are always just unbeatable on Prague, but she's doing well here as well so far. Let's see if she can keep it up on the bottom.
She was 15th in Tokyo at the Olympic Games this year, 2-time under-23 world champion, so very good, long, credible CV. Now, this is where Fiona Penny of Great Britain lost time, and not such a problem for Mlynářek-Kuryová of the Czech Republic, but still not the best.
It's it's a very tricky move because the Kraken is quite unstable, this stopper there, and I think it's everyone will have practiced it in training, but you can still sometimes arrive and you fall into the stopper, and you have to catch it nicely, and especially sort of put the nose up near the end so you can serve the last part and be high into the up, which is quite tricky, and I think we'll see some more people potentially having some trouble with it.
Well, it's a good performance for Katarina Mlynářek-Kuryová of the Czech Republic, just outside the race lead into 2nd place. And, well, good to see her putting a run down. And, well, we'll have to wait and see whether that is enough as we watch Great Britain's Megan Hamer-Evans on course now, coming into the upstream gate 4, the 22-year-old. She's been in junior and under-23 World Championship finals. And this is her first World Cup of the 2021 season.
Yes, I think the British team, they have a few of their top athletes missing for this race. I think especially the Olympic boats have chosen to skip this one, probably to focus on the World Championships in Bratislava, which has given a chance to the younger athletes and the athletes who came in just outside of the team at selections to also be able to race, which is quite nice.
Yes, and so she's 2.27 seconds down on the early split. And you're right there, Marcia. And so Mallory Franklin, who was silver medalist last weekend in Laseo, has not come out here to pole. I think she's resting up after a busy schedule, having been to the games, and will come back for the World Championships. But yeah, Mallory missing out is Megan's opportunity, but that time, 5.45 now. She is clean so far, but just
lost
not
a bit of
quite
time on that middle section as well.
finding the lines. Washed off the back a little bit, having to work hard for the upstream 19, so
and she is working hard, though. She is definitely pushing and giving her all, which is quite nice to see.
So it is a respectable run coming together, going for the spin on the downstream gate 22.
Very tight.
But it is still Eliska Mintalova, our race leader, 109.24. Then Hamer Evans is going to be outside of that and crosses the line. 117.05 into 7th place. So it is still Mintalova leading for Slovakia. Minarik Kudiova of the Czech Republic in second. Pasiepnik of Poland in third. As we look at Monika Dodia Villarreal of Andorra.
Nice up.
The 21-year-old now. Well, this must be classified as a little bit of a local course, because I know the Spanish and the French do a lot of racing at each other's sites here, either side of the Pyrenees.
Yeah, for sure. And she lives, I don't know if she lives in Andorra itself or in Laseo, but Andorra is very close to Laseo. So I think Laseo is definitely her home course, but it's not too far a drive from here, so I'm sure she's battled here quite a bit as well.
So her
very nice.
Her performances so far: 20th, 37th, and 14th. So the 14th last weekend, personal best so far. But can she go one better and get into the final here? And take a great boost going into the World Championships in just 12 days' time. And she's in touch.
Very, very fast, especially considering she's had a touch. She's had a really nice middle section here.
So very smooth paddler. This paddler from Andorra, based in Laseu. That's where all the training is, on the course built for the 1992 Olympic Games, and still in use, nearly 30 years on. That's a great legacy for the sport of canoe slalom. As we see Monika Dodia Villarreal of Andorra now chasing that race lead time. Can she hold on? She was just 3/100ths down on the bottom section. Was that a touch at the bottom?
Yes, I think so.
And that might just have made the difference. She crosses the line, 111.37, and well, provisionally into third place, but there is a review on that bottom section on those gates.
Yes.
So next to start, Anthony Galashkova of the Czech Republic, the junior world champion of 2019. And well, again, you can expect strong performance for the Czech Republic. And anyone who's heard me commentate before will know that I always say you can't win the race at the top, but you can lose it.
For sure, yes, you can. And I think here as well, she opts for the safer double spin, but sadly touched the gate with her upper blade. So I hope she can pull it back. So we've got a review on gate 3. It's always interesting that we now have the video judging, which I think is quite good, because before there was sometimes a little discussion over when someone is a bit tight on the ups or on the downs. So it's nice to have the ability to review it with video.
Yeah, and if you're not sure how it works, then you still have the judges on the riverbank.
Yes.
There's at least 2 judges looking on the riverbank and making an assessment. But in addition, we have a number of camera angles that the International Canoe Federation, then there's a panel of video judges who are able to access lots of different angles for each gate to then review the gate and determine whether the correct penalty has been applied.
Yes, and it's helped making things more fair, I think. But sadly for her, it meant that she got an extra touch added to her on the gate 3. But she's having some trouble on the classic stopper moves here.
So Anthony Galashkova of the Czech Republic is the time is slipping away. 10.38 down on the second split, and further time lost at the bottom part of the course. And you can just see it's quite a physical course. How do you find paddling on this course in Pau?
Well, I really like it. It's like you say, it's very physical, but there is really nice flow on Pau, I think. It depends a bit on where the gates are positioned, but I think it's a very fun course to paddle on. There's a lot of pressure, and the eddies are very nice. So for upstreams, it's really fun.
So 16th place for Anthony Galashkova of the Czech Republic. We're over halfway through the women's kayak final here, live at the ICF Canoe Slalom World Cup final in Pau in France. And we're watching now Avi Liebvarth of the United States of America on course. The
very fast first split.
World champion of 2021 in the kayak event, and good spot there. She is up on the split.
She's very young and she's so full of energy. The way she paddles is very dynamic, very energetic, and a lot of strokes.
It's interesting, isn't it, the different styles? You know, we talked about the kind of different ages in the categories, but yeah, canoe slalom, even the different styles, then you can bring whatever you like to the party. If it's quick and it's consistent, then it works.
It's really cool. It's different styles and different body types, and I think it's a matter of matching what works for your body in your paddling. And she's very small and light, and she has this very dynamic, very energetic style. And she's losing a bit of time.
Just washed away. She did it nicely, but as she came out at the end of the stopper, the bows washed away, and it looks like a penalty. It is confirmed on the exit of 19 as well. So Avi Liebvarth, from being 2.46 and in touch with a place in the final, suddenly is on the back foot as she comes down the final section of this course.
She's still pushing really hard though, which is quite nice.
So was 12th in Tokyo at the Olympic Games, still as a junior, let's not forget, so definitely a name to watch. But it looks like we're not going to see Avi Liebvarth in the final today. 8th place at the moment, but still a number of top boats to go. Remember, it's 30 boats racing in this semi-final for just 10 places in that final, and the fastest from the heats are still to come. Next up, Laia Sorribes of Spain.
Another young paddler.
A Junior World Championship medalist, under-23 World Championship finalist, and she was 8th at the under-23 Europeans just a few weeks ago.
That was a nice section. Very tight, very close to the gates, but also very controlled. Yeah,
she does it. We talk about composed and controlled a lot, don't we, in canoe slalom?
Yes, for sure.
And it's really that it is a test of the technical, the physical, the mental. But in order for it to work in harmony with the white water, you've got to be kind of paddling on your limit, but not beyond your limit.
Yes, absolutely. I was talking about this with my coach yesterday because for me, I ended up taking too much risk yesterday in my second run, because my first run I was trying to avoid risk a little too much and I was very slow. So on my second run I tried to push it more. She's losing a bit of time here, I think. But yeah, it's trying to find this balance, because I took too much risk and ended up with a 50-second penalty, which obviously meant I sadly cannot compete right now. But yeah, it's trying to walk this tightrope, trying to find this balance, and pushing yourself, being close to the gates, but not 50ing, and it makes it very interesting to watch.
Yeah, and canoe slalom is so rewarding when you get it right. It can be cruel as well.
Absolutely.
Because you can only, you could deliver 23 of the 24 gates supremely, but one little mistake, a fraction of a second or a few centimeters the wrong side, and a 50-second penalty can be cruel. But into 11th place for Laia Sorribes of Spain, so it slipped away at the bottom.
Yes.
And we won't be seeing Laia in the final.
Yeah, it's like you say, it's cruel, but it's also what makes it really exciting to watch, I think. You know, anything can happen at any time, and you have to be focused, you have to be on your best the entire way down. There is no room for errors.
And we saw that last weekend, actually, didn't we? We saw Jessica Fox was outstanding last weekend. You know, she came back from a successful game. She was outstanding. Benjamin Savcek, outstanding at the Olympic Games. He's a world champion, a European champion, now Olympic champion. But in Sao, he didn't even make it through into the final. It was cruel. One little mistake, and bang, he was out. So on course, Victoria Urs of Ukraine, 28-year-old from Kiev, and she is a World Cup medalist from 2019, and well, never one to rule out for a final. 8th in Tokyo. Sure. She's only raced in one of the World Cups this season, 33rd in Prague in the Czech Republic. That's the first race of this 4-race series. and in touch.
Yeah, and
still on the second split,
I think
so this
her
is good.
upstreams have been really nice. Like the one in the corner just then, like before, she was caught a little bit on the tail, but she solved it so nicely and was really tight on the gate. And I think she has been pretty tight on all of the ups, which is really nice. And
Yeah, tight again on the exit of 19.
Absolutely.
That's the critical one. She's, I think she's not going to take the race lead here, but this is a really good run coming together for Victoria Urs. She's got to keep it clean now on these last few gates. 2 to go. Getting the bows round. This is where the lactic acid's burning in those arms, and
Absolutely.
you've just got to stay focused. Crosses the line just outside the race lead time into 4th place for Victoria Urs of Ukraine. So still Eliška Mintalova leading for Slovakia. Katerina Mlynarek-Kuryova of the Czech Republic in 2nd. Monika Dodia-Villarreal for Andorra in 3rd. And it won't be long before we get to confirm our finalists. But on course, Luca Jones of New Zealand, supremely consistent athlete. And she was a World Championship medalist in 2019, Olympic silver medalist in Rio. I think she was 6th in Tokyo just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, she's got really nice style as well. And like you say, very consistent. She's been on the circuit for quite a while and has been making good results the whole time. She was racing C1 for a bit as well, but I think she recently announced to be stopping with C1.
Yes, I think she was racing that. She raced that at the games. But,
yes,
but
exactly.
Yes, certainly. She joined me in the commentary box last weekend, and she's actually going to join us tomorrow again.
Right.
She enjoyed it so much, she's going to join us again. But yes, I don't think we're going to see Luca in the canoe event. She's lying 3rd in the standings overall for the World Cup, so she has 118 points, so a little bit to make up if she wants to take the title, but her job now is just to get into the final. And 2.29 seconds down. Well, there's quite a cluster of people around 2 seconds down. She needs to find at least a second. She doesn't necessarily need to take the race lead here, but she just needs to get out of that cluster, get ahead of that grouping.
Yeah, for sure, because Eliška is still on number 1, and she was off quite early, and we haven't seen a change in leader for quite a while. And then Katerina Mlynarek-Kuryova, she is quite close behind, but then there's quite a big gap. So it'll be interesting to see if people will fill up this gap soon.
So 1:09.24, that's the time to beat. It's going to be close to that. It's going to be 1:11.15 and into 3rd place. So she has found some time on the bottom section. She will have to wait a little bit, but I think Luca Jones of New Zealand has put herself in a strong position to go through into the final. But it is Eliška Mintalova still leading for Slovakia, ahead of Katerina Mlynarek-Kuryova of the Czech Republic. And then I think, Luca Jones for New Zealand in 3rd.
Yes, and I think after Klaudia Zwolinska finishes, we will see the first cues.
Correct. So we are down to 10 to go. So, as Marcia says, we will start to confirm who our finalists are. And on course, Klaudia Zwolinska of Poland, who was the winner of the first World Cup of the season, 5th in Tokyo, lying 5th overall in the World Cup standings coming into this race after 3 races. So, one to watch as we go into this World Cup final.
Absolutely. She's also very decorated as a U23 and junior. She's such a consistent and strong athlete. It'll be interesting to see how she gets on at the bottom part.
So after that win in the first race, she hasn't found quite that form in the World Cup races. 19th, then 15th. So a final here could move her back up the order.
She lost a bit of time on the middle section.
So 3.97 the deficit, and well, I would say that's she needs to find something special at the bottom, because there's such a cluster of people around about 2.5 or 2.3 seconds down on race lead time.
Nice cross there. But, yeah,
so Zwolinska
of Poland. It's a big gap to make up, I think.
Now well, the time is running out. You can't really make up time on these bottom stagger, can you? And the danger is you pick up a penalty and try to do so.
Yes, I think everyone will be doing a spin on the second one. And she seems to have made up time.
Having said that, she has made up time. So well done to Klaudia Zwolinska of Poland, who, well, goes into 6th place.
And Eliška Mintalova is now the first one who is sure of a place in the final.
Yeah, well done, Eliška. You're in the final. That final, of course, 12 o'clock Central European time. You can follow it live here at Planet Canoe as we watch Ana Satila of Brazil on course. 25-year-old Junior World Championship. She's a two-time under-23 World Championship medalist, 13th in Tokyo. And, well, her season has been going in the right direction. Started off 14th at the first World Cup, then 9th, and then 5th last weekend. So just what you need as you're building in towards those World Championships in less than 2 weeks' time.
For sure. I really like her paddling. She likes to take a lot of risks, and it's very go big or go home, and I really like that attitude. It really is so exciting to watch. Really putting up a good show.
I'd agree, and it looks like she's really attacking the course here, but a penalty on the upstream gate 12. That will just put her on the back foot a little bit, and we'll get an indication of just how much as she comes into 16. 4.4 seconds the deficit, and, well, that makes it look like Katarina Mlinarik-Kudyova of the Czech Republic will be our next confirmed qualifier. It may be that Ana Satila has to wait and see whether she's done enough. How does it feel when you're at the bottom of the course and you know, you've put something down and you kind of know it's in the mix, and you have to wait all that time?
Oh, well, it's for sure it's nerve-wracking. For me, I'm just happy when I've put down a run that I'm really proud of, and I try to not focus too much on the result at the moment, because I know I'm not quite at the level for, as example, Anna here. But yeah, it's sure going to be nerve-wracking if you know you are in contention for a spot in the final, but you're not sure if you will be. It's a hard few minutes, I think. Indeed.
Well, 10th place for Ana Satila, and that looks like we won't see Anna in the final, which is quite a surprise. But come on, you introduce the next paddler.
So Martina is from my team, and she was our Olympic boat. So she raced in Tokyo and made the final there. Well, she lives in New Zealand, so we don't see her in the Netherlands very often, but then I don't think any one of us spends a lot of time in the Netherlands these days, because it's, well, it's a nice country, but it's not exactly known for its white water. It's quite flat. So, yeah, I live here, and some of my teammates, they live in Augsburg, and Martina in New Zealand, so we're quite spread out.
It is an interesting challenge, isn't it? Yeah. Netherlands is definitely not whitewater renowned for.
No, absolutely
They
not.
did have Dutch water dreams for a while in Zoetermeer.
Yeah, it's
unfortunately,
a shame.
that no longer operates.
No, it's a shame, because it was a really, really cool course, and it was quite high level. But yeah, sadly, it's no longer in use. So we're sort of forced to leave our country and try to find the whitewater elsewhere.
So Martina is, well, she's very quick in terms of her time, but that touch on gate 12 and just a little bit of the middle section.
There was a nice cross on the Kraken, but I'm not sure if it will be enough to make up 4 seconds. Oh, that was a shame. She lost her edge a little bit on the curl, and I had to do a little paddle back and a touch.
And, well, whilst that's really unfortunate for Martina, for us watching, it just shows the power of the white water and just how good these athletes are. They make it look easy, but you can see how quickly the water will snatch back if you give it a chance.
For sure, and it's quite interesting as well, because so the Kraken obviously is, it looks quite intimidating. It's a big stopper, and it's very boily, and it sucks you in, well, like a Kraken would, you know. Whereas this girl, where Martina had some issues, it looks small, but it's quite deceptive, because if you go in with the wrong edge, it just shows how powerful the water really is, that it's able to just almost flip you, really.
So on course, the world champion of 2019, so she'll be defending that title in Bratislava in 2021 in just under 2 weeks' time. Eva Tersel for Slovenia, 1.4 down on the first split, so in touch with a place in the final, and had a disappointing weekend last weekend. She finished outside the final in 12th place.
Yeah, and especially because she is the world champion on the course in Laseo, so I think she might have expected to be in finals and try to have a similar result on the same course, but well, anything can happen. So
she's in 6th overall in the World Cup standings, 11th, a 4th and a 12th. So double points here in Pau. Great opportunity to move up the order, but a review on the upstream gate 12. Maybe a penalty will be added to that. We'll have to wait and see.
Possibly. She is, with her time, still looking at, well, a place in what you described as the cluster. You know, there was a bunch of times quite close together. So we'll see if she manages to be on the top part of that cluster, because then she's looking at a place in the final, I think.
So Eva Tersel of Slovenia, the reigning world champion from 2019, goes for a place in the final here, the ICF Canoe Slalom World Cup in Pau in France. She will be challenging for the race lead. It's going to be just outside, but surely enough, well, into 5th place, and provisionally, we'll just have to wait and see. That's the first place that isn't in the final, so you would say she stands a good chance of getting into the final. But it is Mintilova of Slovakia, our race leader. 109.24. She's qualified alongside her qualifying Minarik Kuryova of the Czech Republic, Jones of New Zealand, and Doria Villarreal of Andorra. 6 boats to go, and here surely a favourite on this course.
Absolutely. She trains here a lot, and she's so good on here. She's well, she's a good paddler anyway, but definitely on Pau, I think it's she definitely has the home advantage.
So Marie-Zilia Lafont for France, of course, the 34-year-old, as you say, lives here, and she has won 2 World Cups, and both of them have been on this course. Can she make it 3, make the hat-trick of wins? Well, the first job is to get through this semi-final into the final. 0.45 down on the split. Well, that's absolutely on track for a place in the final. Now she's just got to continue to build into the run, keep that focus, and deliver these moves on this 24-gate course.
I can hear the crowd getting very excited here. I think there'll be lots of people coming to watch, so it would be good if there's some French in the final. I think that will really make sure there's a good vibe here at the course, the local supporters.
That's a nice line for 19, probably not the fastest line. There's quite a lot of rotation on there, and the time is just slipping away a little bit for Marie-Zilia as she comes down through the last few gates.
Yeah, she seems to have lost a bit on the middle section, so we'll see how her finish time is going to look.
Ducking and diving, but is this deceptive? Has she found some time at the bottom? Marie-Zilia Lafont goes for a place in the final, and only into 8th place. So it's going to be a nervous wait at the bottom of the course, as we have 5 boats still to go in this women's kayak semi-final. So bad news for France at the moment, no automatic qualifying place, but Eva Tersel of Slovenia is our next qualifier. But on course, Jessica Fox of Australia, the World Cup champion of 2019. She is leading the World Cup standings after 3 races. And, well, what do you say? She took double gold last weekend over the Pyrenees in Spain. She has made it 3 medals at the Olympic Games from 3 attempts.
Yes.
And well, in this category, and won the gold in the women's canoe singles category in Tokyo.
The first ever canoe single gold medal was for her. She's definitely one of the absolute favourites for this race.
So she's set off how she means to carry on. 0.67 the advantage on the top of the course. Jessica Fox of Australia. And she looks like she's made up some time in the middle section. She was very strong on the upstream 11. Was that a water splash on gate 14? I think it probably was, but we'll have to wait and see. She's extended the advantage, 1.35 up. And absolutely on track for a place in the final.
She always looks very confident and in control. I think she, especially in semi-final, I think she doesn't take too much risk, but she still pushes hard, and it's normally enough. And I think this one, unless she does something crazy at the bottom, I think she will be in. So we're looking forward to watching her in the final, and because it's always such a pleasure to see her race.
So Jessica Fox will go into the race lead by quite some margin, crosses the line, 106.45, and goes into the into the final. So well done, Jessica Fox of Australia. We'll see you in the final alongside Eliška Mintilova, Katerina Minarik-Kuryova, Luca Jones, Monica Doria Villarreal, and Eva Tersel. So at the moment, Victoria Urs waiting to see if she's done enough. as we look at the Olympic champion from Rio 2016, Mayelen Chirot of Spain, who also won a medal in London, won a medal in Tokyo at the Olympic Games. So again, another highly decorated athlete and a hugely talented athlete.
Absolutely, a medal at all 3 last Olympics. That's so impressive, and it shows consistency over such a long period of racing.
So Mayelen, as we were saying earlier, 38 years old. She's a mother, and still at absolutely the top of her game. 2 seconds down at the top of the course, and she just missed out last weekend in.
Yes, on her home course.
In fact, no, she didn't, did she? She did sneak into the final in the end. I apologise.
Yeah,
and then
true.
she finished 9th in the final.
Yes, I think she might have been out before, and someone was later given a penalty or something. I thought she was out for a while, but then she, like you say, she managed to sneak back into the final. So that was good on her home course.
So 3.36 the deficit at the halfway point for Mayelen Chirot. The time to beat for an automatic place in the final, 1:11.61.
Nice.
That's going to take some work on this bottom section, but if anyone's capable of it, it's this 3-time Olympic medalist from Spain, just over the mountains. So again, probably fairly familiar with this Pau course.
Yeah, I do see her around here quite often for training.
And it's a good run here. She's found time at the bottom of the course. Mayelen Chirot of Spain stops the clock, 1:07.54, into second place.
Nicely
and
done.
Into the final. So interesting that both the last 2 competitors, Fox and Chirot, have found time on the bottom section.
Yes, for sure. I think the bottom section is very technical. Well, the whole course is very technical, but it's it's interesting that they managed to make up so much time at that part.
Well, 3 boats to go in this women's kayak semi-final here. We're live in Pau in France for this, the final of the ICF Canoe Slalom World Cup. You can follow it live throughout the weekend at Planet Canoe. And, well, 3 boats to go, and 2 of them are French. First up, Romain Prigent is on course.
Also a very energetic and dynamic paddler. She's, I always really like to watch her because she is quite small and she's not doing so much just on pure power. So she's relying very much on her technique and her energy, which I really like.
So she was up by half a second on our race leader Jessica Fox at the top, but subsequently has picked up a 2-second penalty on the upstream gate 11. Now coming down under the bridge here, ready.
If it stays with a 2-second penalty, she should be able to still make it into the finals.
And I think you're right, because 4.7 down, that's still inside of the kind of qualification zone. The time to beat, 1:11.61. We'll remind you of that when we get closer to the finish. She was 9th last weekend, so made the final in La Seu, and won the World Cup last season in Tarsen, Slovenia. So here we go, the last few gates for Romain Prigent at the moment. No French boat in the final. But I suspect that's all going to change in the next few moments. So the time for an automatic place, 1:11.61 for an automatic place, and it's outside of that time.
Oh, she lost some time on the bottom part.
So 1:13.44, and it's mainly as a result of that 2-second penalty on the upstream gate 16.
Yes,
so
well, after that touch and after the second split, she was still in contention, but I think she also lost a couple of seconds there on the bottom section, so it's a shame because she was onto a really good run on the top.
So bad news for France, but good news for Ukraine because Victoria Urs is our next qualifier. So 2 to go. Ursula Craig of Slovenia on course now, wearing bib number 7. Ursula joined me in the commentary box last weekend. It's kind of the poison chalice for the finals because you feel like you're hovering it. You're like the Grim Reaper because people have missed out on the finals, and it's like, well, but you could come and join us in the commentary box if you like. And she did a great job there, but good to see her racing and 2nd in the heats. So can she follow on to that form and get a place in the final?
Yeah, for sure. It's quite funny for me yesterday as well. I was a bit gutted about my run. So I get out of the water and I haven't put my boat back before I'm asked if I can do commentary tomorrow. But it's fun. It's better than sitting at home and being sad for myself. It's a good way to spend my morning.
So Ursula Craig was ninth in the Rio Olympic Games in 2016, and actually she won the World Cup Series in 2012. So at the moment she's outside of the mix, really 13th in the overall standings. And despite this being double points, I think with the lead that Jessica Fox has from Australia, there's no way back for a World Cup overall win, but she can definitely move right up the order with a strong performance here.
And she is looking at a decent run right now.
She is. She's clean, and she's surely going to be inside. So the time to beat now is 1:11.77 for an automatic place in the final, comfortably inside. 1:09.10 into third place. Well done, Ursula. We'll see you in the final. One to go. All the hopes of the host nation, France, rest on the shoulders of Camille Prigent of France, the 23-year-old. Well, she's very capable already at 23 years of age. An accomplished paddler, under-23 world champion in 2018. 2 finals from the 3 World Cups she's done so far. 8th, 8th and 20th, her form of the season so far in the World Cups.
That's quite impressive. See if she can beat the time of her cousin who just came before her, Roman.
And we were saying that last weekend, you know, the Fox family, if they were classed as a nation, would be pretty well ranked in that. And a bit of a dynasty, but also the Prigent family, a bit of a dynasty.
Absolutely. I think France has a few families, also the De La Sus family. They're also all very talented and making really good progress, showing some really good results. And yeah, definitely the Prigents as well.
So well, let's watch Camille. 1.43 down on the top split. That's in touch, but she can't afford to let that extend too much. And that was 2.19. That's absolutely what is required. Camille Prigent needs to balance that risk that we were talking about, yes, and just make sure she gets into the final. And at that point, she can then start to throw caution to the wind and go for gold here on the home water in Pau. Well, there's a review going on the upstream gate 4. Yeah. So a little bit of concern there for Camille Prigent, but at the moment looking very smooth on the bottom section.
Yeah, if she keeps it together, the review has gone. If she keeps this up, yeah, easily going to be in.
Well, this is into the final. Well done, Camille Prigent of France, into 5th place and comfortably in. Job done, and we will have a French representative in the final.
Yeah, like I said, it's always good to have a home nation just to like bump up the energy here at the course. There's quite a few people already for semi-finals, so for finals it's probably going to be quite packed. So it should be exciting.
So well done to Camille Prigent of France. We'll see you in the final. And our provisional finalists: Jessica Fox, Mayellen Chirot, Ursula Craig, Eliška Mintalova, the leader for so long for Slovakia, Camille Prigent. In fact, here we are, and then it's Katerina Minarik-Kadayova, Luca Jones, Monica Doria Villarreal, Eva Tersel, the world champion of 2019, and Victoria Us. They'll go off in reverse order in the final. That final starts at 12 o'clock Central European time. You can follow it live here at Planet Canoe. Big names to miss out. Well, for sure, Anna Satila, big name there, missing out on a place in the final. We'd have expected that. But no big drama from a World Cup standings perspective. In fact, I missed a name, Elena Appel, who's lying 2nd in the World Cup standings, missed out on the final, only in 14th place. So
that is quite interesting, because like we were saying before, she has been in the final every single World Cup so far. So that's why she's had such a good, strong standing in the World Cup. But yeah, if she's not in, it's going to be probably quite difficult for anyone to take on Jess now that she's in the final.
Well, I think Jessica Fox already has one hand on the World Cup Series title for the season, but Luca Jones is in that final alongside Mayellen Chirot as well, so there's still competition for the minor places in this World Cup standings. And of course, as I said, 12 o'clock Central European time, you'll be able to follow that live here at Planet Canoe. But don't go away, because up next will be the men's kayak semi-final. Again, looking to determine who goes through into the final this afternoon.
It should be fun to watch the K1 men. I think it's always the category that takes the most risks. Like, you have to, because there's so many athletes at a very similar level. So I think we're probably already in the semi-finals going to see some pretty ballsy moves. I think people maybe potentially trying to do some moves direct that we saw the K1 women do with a spin. So high risk, high reward, I think.
Go big,
yeah,
or go home, to use your language. That's it. Well, we are live in Pau for the ICF Canoe Slalom World Cup. It's the final race of the 4-race series. Double points up for grabs, and it is men's kayak time. Semi-finals, the top 40 athletes qualify through from the heats, and we're looking to narrow that down to 10 into the final. So led away will be Ben Haylett of Great Britain, finished 40th in that qualification round. But remember, we start from 0. But we've got some big names to see as we go through this. From Andre Tunka, world champion here in Pau in 2017. And such is the strength of the Czech team, he's actually not fully in the Czech team
yes,
for the World Championships.
Because we're missing out here in this race on Jiří Piskevec.
So we have Peter Kauser of Slovenia, and for Slovakia, Jakub Grigor, silver medalist. From the Tokyo Games.
Olympic champion is not here.
But we do have the Olympic champion from Rio
sure.
2016, Joe Clark of Great Britain. In fact, he was the fastest qualifier in the heats, and so he will go off last. So lots to look forward to here in this men's kayak semi-final. And in terms of the standings, then the standings of the World Cup Series after the 3 of the 4 races. It's Vit Prindis of the Czech Republic who is our leader, but it's really quite tight, all up for grabs. Vit Prindis won last weekend for the Czech Republic in race 3, put himself at the top of the leaderboard. Giovanni De Gennaro of Italy, he lies in 2nd in the overall standings. He qualified through 2nd yesterday in the heats, so he's obviously found some pace. Felix Oschmalz of Austria lying in 3rd. And Felix, well, 4th at the Tokyo Olympic Games, silver medal last weekend. He's on form at the moment, so
Absolutely.
we can really see some tight racing. But we got Peter Kauser lying 4th, Jakub Grigor 5th. Home favourite, Boris Nouveau of France in 6th.
So looks like it's quite open with almost all of these athletes racing here as well. So it should be very interesting already in the semi-final to see who's going to make it through, who will have a chance to battle it out in the finals.
I totally agree. This is wide open, the World Cup in the men's kite, unlike in the women's kite where Jessica Fox has got a bit of a stranglehold on it already before the final. But we are underway with racing. Myself, Andy Maddock, bringing you all the action as it unfolds, and alongside me, Marcia Otten of the Netherlands. So welcome here as we step underway with Ben Haylett of Great Britain leading the way. And well, he was a junior world championship finalist in 2019. And he's made the under-23 European and World Finals in 2021. So this, his first World Cup opportunity, and can he make the most of it?
Yeah, very talented paddler. I used to live in Nottingham for 3 years while I was studying, and he was training there a lot, working really hard, and you can definitely see his progress. He's very fast and quite a young guy, so I'm sure we'll be seeing more of him in the next couple of years.
Well, I'm sure his supporters at home will be watching here on Planet Canoe, watching his every move. So I think we will be looking at a sub 100 seconds, certainly, for progressing through into the final. But I'm not going to speculate any more than that, I think.
Yes, I think sub 100 is quite likely.
So we shall see, but clean so far as he comes through the last 4 gates of this course. 24 gates, 6 upstream gates, the rest downstream gates. And Ben Haylett of Great Britain
he seems to have picked up a touch at the end.
He has, he's just picked up a touch on gate 21, but and that's a little bit of a blemish on what was a great run there.
It seems the judges are not 100% sure yet, because he seems to be under review at the moment.
So provisionally, obviously, he's into first place, he's the first one down, but 102.52 is the total time. That does include a 2-second penalty, but there is still an asterisk against that name. There is a review underway on that gate as we watch our second paddler Krzysztof Majachak of Poland, 15th at the Tokyo Olympic Games. It seems like only a couple of weeks away, but it was actually about 5 or 6 weeks ago now. And the focus now on the World Championships in less than 2 weeks' time, Bratislava in Slovakia. But here, Krzysztof has done 44th, 49th and 24th in the World Cup. He's capable of getting into the final, but it is all about delivering in this semi-final, and we see that in the men's kayak. You were saying a little bit earlier that to get into the final of the men's kayak category, you have to take some high risks
exactly.
Get some casualties normally.
Yes, exactly. Like I think the K1 women, there is a little bit more leeway for especially for the best athletes like Jess Fox, to take a little bit less risk, to be a little bit more conservative, but to be on the good line and have a really good time to make finals, and then take some more risk in this final. Oh, he lost his pedal for a bit there, but yeah, it's I think for the men, because there is also 10 more athletes in the semi-final than in the women's semi-final. He seems to have picked up a 50-second penalty on the gate 18, which is going to cost his attempt to make the final.
So interesting, yeah, that 50-second penalty is an example really of how the athletes squeezing the lines, but the margin's so tight that if you go on the wrong side of that and you leave the judges to make the decision, then you risk getting a 50-second penalty. It is under review, but provisionally that is into second place and outside of the final.
Yes, like I say, I think for many of these athletes, if you don't take the risk, you know you're never going to be fast enough to be in the best 10, because there's so many good athletes competing, and the margins are simply smaller normally for the K1 men. So it'll be very, it's very exciting to watch. I think he's definitely cutting the lines. And it's
well, on course, Tomas Ukalovic of Croatia, and there's a good example of cutting the lines. He had to duck inside gate 3 and paid the price by the bows of his boat catching the eddy and an unforced spin there. So
yes, and judges seem to consider giving him a 50 on gate 2 as well for being too tight.
And maybe another penalty on gate 7, yes, confirmed. So it's not a good start for Ukalovic of Croatia at the top of the course, and it's really difficult, isn't it, when you set off on your run, you want to attack the course, but there's nothing worse than kind of demolishing the first 4 or 5 gates.
Yeah, for sure. It's you're so full of energy, and you want to be focused, but you're also like really excited and ready to race, and you want to give it your all, and then you start, and sometimes you're just not focused on the task at hand. You're just sort of you're so focused on trying to push hard that you might end up making a mistake, which is it's quite crucial, and it can really mess you up for the whole rest of your run.
Well, actually, you know, Thomas here has kept his composure, kept his focus, put the mistake behind him, but it will be a costly mistake. 50-second penalty on the downstream gate 2, and Tomas Ukalovic of Croatia will be outside the race. So Ben Haylett still our race lead time, and he has got that confirmed touch on the bottom part of the course. 102.52 is the time to beat, and Ukalovic of Croatia goes into 3rd place. So 40 boats racing in reverse order from the heats of yesterday.
He seemed to be taking it quite well. I think he's also from here. He's trained here a lot, the guy from Croatia, just waving to the home crowd, which is I think quite sportsmanlike after a bad run.
It's good, and good to see the sun coming out here in Pau. We had a bit of a wet and miserable day in the heats yesterday, but well, the sun's come out at the right time for the semi-finals and finals, and there's a good weather forecast for tomorrow as well, as we watch Igor Svet of Ukraine. Well, he must be buoyed by the fact that his compatriot Victoria Urs has just qualified through into the women's kayak final. Can Ukraine get 2 boats into the 2 finals?
Well, he's definitely capable enough. He's a good paddler, and I think the Ukraine is they're probably quite happy to have 2 such strong athletes who are really fighting on the world stage and with good chances. Because I don't think they have a lot of opportunities to train in the Ukraine, from what I've heard. I know these 2 athletes, they travel so much trying to find white water everywhere and training a lot in Prague, I believe. So yeah, it's hard for athletes like that. So it's really cool to see them race so well on the international stage.
Well, it's good. 1.31 up on the first split. We don't seem to have a second split for Igor, but he was a finalist at the World Cup last year here, albeit it wasn't a full field yesterday. And it looks like he's going to have to go back for 23.
Yes.
It wasn't a full field last year because of the corona pandemic, I should say.
Yes, it was really odd because last year they announced another lockdown in France in the week before the World Cup. So I think everyone who was here, we were all quite worried and checking our phones a lot for updates to see if we were going to be able to race. I think we were pretty lucky to be able to start despite the country being in lockdown. Obviously under quite a lot of restrictions, but I think everyone who was here was so happy just to be racing.
Yes, yes indeed. And Igor Sviet of Ukraine goes in second place despite that recirculation on the bottom of the course. So it shows that a time under 100 seconds is very achievable as we watch Lucas Rossi of Argentina, 53rd at the first World Cup of the season, 21st in Tokyo at the Olympic Games.
Yeah, and another Pau local. He has been living here for quite a while and training a lot on this course, so he definitely knows it, and I think he'll show us that he knows this course, that it's his home course. And
he certainly looks like he's very calm, composed as he comes in and out the upstream gate 12, taking no risks, but certainly looking smooth, and we'll get an indication of where he stacks up on the split.
It's quite steady.
0.91. That's he's got a bit of time to make up if he wants to place in the final, but it's a very respectable run coming together.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very controlled and composed, and yeah.
But that's a great view, isn't it, of that move 18 to 19, using the overhead camera angle there. You really get to see how much work the athletes have to do, how they have to get the bows upstream on the stopper.
I always find it quite hard to see what's really happening on the drone shots. It's especially on some staggers, it's because it's so far away, it's quite hard to see if the athletes are picking up any penalties, but it sure does look really cool to see the course from up high.
So into second place for Lucas Rossi of Argentina, 103.17. And it is still Ben Haylett, the early leader in this men's kayak semi-final here at the World Cup final in Pau in Pyrenees. We're live here at Planet Canoe. And, of course, the athletes racing for a place in the 10-boat final. And that will be live at Planet Canoe, 12 o'clock Central European time today, with the women's kayak final, followed by the men's kayak final. And, of course, Callum Gilbert of New Zealand is here. Now, he had a disappointing Olympic Games. I think he was struggling a little bit with an ear infection.
Yes, I believe so.
Finished 23rd in Tokyo.
It was very tight on that exit out of the up. Trying to keep the speed and cut the lines.
So he's certainly working hard. 0.66 down on the top split. And, well, we can expect, with all due respect to our current race leader, Ben Haylett, who's put in a very respectable run, we can expect people to be challenging and getting well under that time.
Yeah, for sure. I think Ben is probably going to be... Oh, that was a bit of a messy touch right there. But yeah, I think Ben Haylett, like you say, very respectable. And it's his first World Cup, you said. So I think he's allowed to be proud of himself for putting down such a good time. But I think the more experienced paddlers will probably look to put down a time that is a bit faster. And like you say, under 100, I think is definitely going to happen. Ooh, that was very tight.
So Callum Gilbert really cutting the margins at the bottom of the course, and he will stop the clock at 1:04.32. And the judges are reviewing gate 23, and that will just be to check that his boat was inside the gate line at the same time as his head. But it's only fourth place for Callum Gilbert of New Zealand. So next up for Poland, it is Darius Popiela, who, well, always a popular character, gives it his all.
For sure.
I was saying last weekend, I'm sure I saw his retirement, him announce his retirement earlier on in the season.
I believe, I know what you mean, I've read that as well, but I'm not sure he meant that it was his retirement, or that he meant that his campaign for the Olympics was over because he didn't make it. So I'm not sure if that was the case, but he's been back racing in Losail and here, and he's shown some great speed.
There we go, nearly half a second up on race leader Ben Haylett of Great Britain. Darius Popiela, he's a 3-time World Cup medalist. He's a 2-time European Championship medalist, so very, very capable of getting into the final and onto the podium. The job now is to try and put the pressure on those still to come, deliver a quick time, and we'll get an indication on the second split now whether he's managed to extend the advantage over Ben Haylett of Great Britain.
I have great respect for this man. I myself am a history student, and I have been watching his project recently. He's been spending a lot of his time to restore the graves and the names of Jewish, Polish Holocaust victims, which I think is a very, very noble thing to do. So I really respect him. I hope he does well.
Yes, I follow that too, and you can see the remarkable work that he does,
sure.
and balancing that
Spending
with training.
a lot of time in the archives.
So he's picked up a late penalty on 23, and the advantage in the middle section has gone, and he's into 4th place. Darius Popiela of Poland, and he has also been
on the 16.
He's given a 2-second penalty on 16. So Popiela of Poland into 4th, but it's still Haylett leading for Great Britain ahead of Lucas Rossi of Argentina and Igor Sviet of Ukraine in the early stages of this men's kayak semi-final here, live from Pau in the Pyrenees. And Stefan Hengst of Germany now on course. Under 23 World Championship finalist. And, well, of course, he was the world champion in extreme slalom in 2019 in Prague. And so we'll obviously see the extreme slalom action. That can be followed live. That's tomorrow afternoon. And you can follow that on Planet Canoe. Head-to-head racing, exciting new dimension to the sport, and confirmed for Paris in 2024. So, Marcia, are you participating in the extreme slalom?
I am not at the moment. I think it's super exciting to watch, but personally, I don't think it's really for me. I love slalom because it's so elegant and it's so technical and focused. And I think the extreme, it's a lot more like power and you know, like kicking each other with the boats. I think, like I said, it's really, really cool to watch, but it's so very different from slalom. And I think slalom as a sport suits me a little bit better.
Yes, it's certainly pretty brutal. In fact, I watched Fiona Penny last weekend. I don't know if you saw that in the extreme slalom, the women's kayak extreme slalom. I don't think it was on the televised bit. I think it was in the this first round, the heats. But I think she took about 6 rolls. Every time she tried to roll up, there was someone on top of her. But Stefan Hengst of Germany goes into 4th place, so already a cluster there, 1.34 off the race lead, but he was, 4 places makes a difference.
Yeah, he was having some trouble in the last stagger, which cost him quite a bit of time and picked him up a touch. So
you can tell from the background noise that we have our first French athlete on course. It is Mateo Biazizzo on course, who is very capable of making it into this World Cup final. He took a bronze in the first World Cup of the season in Prague. He was the under-23 world champion back in 2013. He won the World Cup Series in 2016. And his record, well, 3rd in the first World Cup, then 24th, then 35th. So now is the time to stop the rot, turn the direction, not only for this World Cup final, but also as he heads into those World Championships. So Mateo Biazizzo, half a second down on the top part of the course. I don't think that's a big drama. I think we would expect he should be able to apply that local knowledge, particularly on this middle and bottom section. That's the most technical part of the course.
And also we have to know that he's now being compared not to Ben Haylett but to Darius Popiela, because he got the second touch taken off, I believe. So Darius is currently in the lead. And yeah, for sure he will, Biasica will have done these moves so many times. I really like his paddling. He's very elegant, very smooth, very French.
Yes, you can always associate the French style is very smooth, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Seems to be doing quite
it's
well.
artistic as well. They would be given the top marks for artistic interpretation as well. But Mateo Biasica of France is going to take the race lead. He's going to go under 100 seconds.
Very nice.
99.61. And Mateo Biasica gets a warm applause from the French crowd. There'll be a little bit of time to wait to see if that is enough for a place in the final, but it is a great run there for the French athlete. Two more French athletes to go, but let's turn our attention to our next athlete, Christian De Dionisi of Italy on course.
Yeah, the Italians are always quite strong contenders as well, especially the K1 men. They have a very energetic paddling style. Christian as well. Very, very strong, very fast.
Christian was 5th at the Markleberg World Cup, so no stranger to the final. And again, another athlete who features quite regularly in the extreme slalom competition. But half a second at the top of the course, that's a good start. If you think of, well, I suppose Biasica, actually our race leader, was not so good on the top part of the course.
He made up all of his time on the bottom section, so we'll see if Christian can keep this up and also nail the bottom part. He should be looking at a really good time.
So now under the bridge section here, 14 and 15, then into the upstream 16, and he still has the advantage. It's been trimmed a little bit. And these upstreams, like 15 is well, running into 16, they look easy, but the eddies here, you have to be really precise.
Absolutely, especially coming down on the drop there, the stopper. It can be a bit unstable, and it's finding that balance. If you take it too much, I think, oh, that was a touch. It's going to cost him a lot. Yeah, I think we saw that with some of the girls before. If you take it too much, the stopper, you end up quite high. But if you don't take it enough, you end up quite low in the up, and it's a lot of work to get back up and a lot of costly time.
So Christian De Dionisi of Italy, it's slipped away at the bottom part of the course. That 2-second penalty on the downstream gate 20, and only into 8th place for Christian. So Mateo Biasica of France leading the way ahead of Darius Popiela of Poland, Ben Haylett of Great Britain. That's the top 3 after 10 boats down. But we have the fastest 30 boats still to go in this. It's the men's kayak semi-final here at the ICF Canoe Slalom World Cup. It's the World Cup final this weekend in Pau in the French Pyrenees. And our next competitor is Pau Ecanes of Spain, 4th last weekend. And up on the split.
Yes, again a very young paddler on the Spanish team, and showing very good skill and very good smooth lines. Keeping the boat moving all the time, it's quite important here in this section. So
I know in front of his home crowd how much it hurt to come 4th just off the podium.
Well, yes, but I think I believe it was his first World Cup final, I'm not sure, but like I said, he is very young, and I think coming 4th is still like very, very impressive. But yeah, it must still hurt getting the infamous chocolate medal, as it's called.
I've never heard it called that. That's a great expression, and you know, it's because it's so harsh. People get disappointed for 4th, but it's an outstanding result nonetheless. But 2 penalties now showing for Pau as he comes into the final few gates on the course.
Yeah, 2 on 9 and 2 on 19, so it's going to be quite tough, I think, to be in contention for a final spot with 2 touches.
It's a quick time, though. It's under 100 seconds time, just under 99.99, but plus 4 seconds of penalties, and that puts him into 7th place. So the athletes coming down the course thick and fast now in this men's kayak semi-final. Here at the World Cup final, we're in Pau in France, the host from the 2017 World Championships. They've hosted the European Championships here, multiple World Cups, and a great venue. But of course, the focus is shifting towards Paris for the preparation ahead of the 2024 Games.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen several of the athletes who have been living here moving to Paris to better prepare, and I think some of the French selections have been shifting there as well. I do hope Pau remains a staple on the international circuit, though, because it's such a good course. And I think everyone really enjoys paddling here, from what I've heard. I certainly do.
Yes, it is a nice venue. As we watch Mateo Desnos of Brazil now on course. He's the Pan American champion of 2019. His best result of the World Cup season this season, 18th, and that was last weekend. So can he go better than that, get in the final? Well, he's looking good, actually, as he comes in.
Fast.
3 seconds he's found on the course. Can he hold on to this as he goes into the final business end of the course? That's a great start to this run.
I suppose Mateo, he's originally a Frenchman, so I suppose he's had some practice on this course as well. And that looked really smooth. So we'll
Super silky smooth on 18 to 19.
He's done that cracking move before.
So he's just got to keep it cool, not give anything away on the bottom section, not pick up any late penalties. He looks very, very good here. Oh, and he hits the last gate. And Mateo Desnos of Brazil still goes into second place, 99.96 total.
That is such a shame, because those 2 seconds could potentially make the difference for him.
Well,
you can see it hit him hard.
I would have said a 97 would have been a guaranteed final, whereas 99, it's a good run, but he's going to have to wait and see. On course now, the world champion from this course on the 2017, it is Ondřej Trnka of the Czech Republic.
Another very strong paddler. We've said it before during the K1 Women, but the Czech team is so strong. They have so many good athletes, so just to make the team in Czech Republic is really quite a feat. So if you're on a Czech team, you already know you're probably in contention for a final spot.
Yeah, Ondřej's yet to find his form really in the World Cup season. He didn't do Prague because the full team was there, but then 23rd and 26th so far this in World Cup 2 and 3. He's very capable of making the final, but doesn't get so many of those race opportunities because he's not in the full team.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said before, Jiří Puskevec, the reigning Olympic and world champion, he's not at this race, so I suppose he's been taking some time off to prepare for the World Championships coming up in 2 weeks. But it's given Ondřej a chance to race here, which I think is quite good, because he's another very, very good athlete.
Well, he is cutting down his deficit. Look at that. He's coming back on the charge just when it matters. Can he keep it clean on the bottom? We've seen mistakes here.
If he doesn't touch, he will definitely make up 2 seconds just on the last gate.
So let's see. Through the last gate, 99.61 under that to take the lead. It's outside of that and into third place for Ondřej Trnka of the Czech Republic. It is a clean run, but will that be enough? Third place at the moment, but still 27 boats to go.
Yes, so you already see the differences are really, really small. The first 3 are within a second of each other, and there's still so many athletes to go. So it's going to be very exciting and very tight.
So on course now, Lucas Vero of Switzerland now coming into the upstream gate 4. Lucas is always in the semi-finals. He's always in the mix for a final, but probably hasn't got the level of consistency that some of the other boats have.
Yeah, possibly. He's definitely very strong, and we're looking at a really, really good first split. So if he can keep it together the whole way down, I think he has a solid chance.
Well, he's certainly, as you say, set himself up in a good way from that top split. 0.88 the advantage over the Frenchman Mateo Bizizzo, our current race leader. 10 places up for grabs in the final, but 40 places, or 40 competitors in this semi-final. So the majority will be disappointed.
Wow, that's impressive second split.
Wow.
Almost 3 seconds down, that is massive.
So this is where Mateo Desnos of Brazil was so strong as well. He had a similar advantage, but hit the last gate. What can Vero do of Switzerland? And didn't look the tidiest line through 19.
Yes, it's hard to see though, I think, sometimes from this angle. So we'll have to see what the final result says.
So he's into the last few gates. Here we see 23, 24, now 99.61 is the time to beat, but he wants to be well inside that, and he will be inside that.
Nicely done.
Well, sensational stuff from Lucas Vero of Switzerland. Takes the race lead, 98.18, and, well, good job.
Absolutely, absolutely. Directly through to another Swiss athlete, younger one. He's been living here as well, so he should know this course quite well.
So, on course it is Galindo Chiarello of Switzerland, who made the final in the under-23 Europeans in 2020. 8th place there. So a young up-and-coming athlete, and well, if he can paddle like his compatriot Vero, then we'll see 2 Swiss contending for places in the final.
Yeah, for sure. Galindo has been training a lot with their Olympic boat, Martin Dugo. Like I said, he's been training a lot here, and I think if he can pull it all together in one run, he's definitely a good contender. He's been struggling a bit with a shoulder injury a while back, but he's definitely bounced back from it and shown some real strength on the course.
Well, he's up on the early split, and that was a quick split, so 0.2 advantage is a good start.
Absolutely.
And 1.25 down, again, respectable.
Yes, lost a bit of time on that second part, which on which Lucas was very fast. Like, he made up a lot of time compared to Biasica before, so it's definitely respectable to be around this time.
That looked quick
Very
on
nice.
the in and out of 19, very quick indeed. We'll find out when he crosses the line whether he's made up any time, but this is the bit where you've just got to keep it clean. It's fiddly at the bottom. You just want to get to the finish line, but you've got to make sure you stay off the poles. And it's going to challenge the race lead. It's going to be just outside and slips away 100.45 at the end, but it's still a respectable run into 5th place for Galindo Chiarello.
Fiddly, like you say, the bottom part. It's the gates are very far apart, but like on a very similar height. So it's I think a lot of people opt for the spin option to be a bit more safe. But yeah, it's trying to be tight, but not too tight.
So the second of 3 Germans in this semi-final now. Noah Heger of Germany on course. 22-year-old. He was 6th at this year's under-23 World Championships. Now setting out a campaign for the final here in Pau. Looking very smooth. The Germans have quite contrasting styles, don't they? Some of the Germans have a very attacking style, but Noah, very smooth, very composed. Yeah,
for sure. I do find the Germans tend to be quite consistent, which is, I think it was very visible during the Olympics this year. They took a medal in every single category, which is really impressive. But yeah, they don't all have the exact same style, which is interesting.
Yeah,
but all quite successful.
The German Olympic performance was outstanding. 4 medals from 4 events. Not done by any nation since 1972.
Wow.
And particularly on the back of Germany not winning any medals in Rio at all.
Yes.
Albeit they did have 2 4th places in Rio. So outstanding for the Germans, and it'll be interesting to see. We haven't seen Ricarda Funk, the Olympic champion in the women's kayak, yet since those games, but we'll see her at the World Championships.
Yeah, it's because I think the Germans have chosen to not send their Olympic boats to these past 2 World Cups, so they can have an extra selection during this week and last week to see which other athletes will join the Olympic boats at the World Championships in 2 weeks.
Indeed. Well, Noah Heger, a good result there. There was a review on the penalty at the top of the course. So he has got a clean run. He is in second place, but he is having a penalty reviewed. So a good performance there, but only a provisional result in 98.29. Oh, now confirmed in second place. So
and also ahead of his fellow German, Stefan Hengst, which I think, like I said, if it's a selection race, he should be quite happy with that as well, because it improves his chances at the World Championships in Bratislava.
So Lucas Verro leads for Switzerland. Noah Heger of Germany in second. Mateo Biedzitso of France is in third place. Still in the early stages of this men's kayak semi-final here, live from Pau in the French Pyrenees, as we watch Thomas Bersinger of Argentina, but again another French athlete.
Yes, for sure. And I mean, he's paddling, I see, with a kayak from the Pau Canoe Club, so clearly a local as well, who knows this place quite well.
So he won the bronze medal here last year in 2020 at the World Cup. Not a full field there, but still, nonetheless, he got on the podium in that event. 2.54 down, and that's a lot of that is being reviewed as well on the upstream gate 12.
Very tight on that upstream.
So Thomas Bersinger has been around for a long time. I think he was, I remember him as a finalist in the World Championships in 2006, I think in Prague.
Yes, I think that might have actually been my first international race, and I remember being in the training group with him and being a little bit scared because he's so aggressive and powerful in the water, and then at the finish, rank 4, might be a bit tight, but yeah, at the finish he came up to me and he was just so friendly. So yeah, he's a bit intimidating maybe sometimes on the water, but like such a nice guy, and yeah, around for quite a while.
Well, into fourth place for Thomas Bersinger of Argentina, and there is still a review against his name, so we'll have to wait and see for him as to whether that result sticks or whether there's a penalty to be added. But it's still Verro leading for Switzerland, as next up Benjamin Grenier of France. So the French crowd will be building up now.
Absolutely, and a local from Pau again, paddling in the Pau Canoe Club team gear. Yeah, I think he's recently moved to Paris to prepare more for the Olympics, but he's been around here so much, and he knows this course really, really well. So we're looking at an interesting run, I think.
So yet to make a final this season in the World Cup. He was 17th, then 16th, and sat it out. He didn't do Laseu last weekend and come back fresh, but he is 2/100ths up on the race lead, so that has generated some noise here.
Absolutely. He's definitely in touch with the race lead at the moment. Again, pretty much exactly on the same time. So if he can keep it together on the bottom, we're looking at a pretty decent result.
So 9/100ths now, the advantage. So nothing to choose, but so significant, because actually Mateo Biedzitso of France is lying in third place, so not guaranteed a place in this afternoon's final. And Benjamin Grenier now coming into the last gate. He's clean so far, and well, you can hear the French crowd here cheering his every move, and it's gonna take the race lead by some margin now.
Wow.
Crosses the line.
Very nicely done.
95.53. Boom! Into the race lead by over
Very
2.5
impressive.
seconds.
Yeah, and the home crowd will be so happy, because like I said, he is a local to Pau. I'm pretty sure he grew up here, so I'm sure he's got a lot of supporters on the bank cheering for him. So,
and you can see that on the back of his helmet, actually.
Yes,
his
absolutely.
badge of honour. So good news for the French team, as we now look at our next competitor, which is Michal Pasiut of Poland, who finished just outside in 11th place last weekend in Laseu.
yes, and 11th, and I believe he was like, I thought I heard someone say 100th of a second off of the final. Like, he was really, really close. It was must have been quite painful, so we're hoping to see him make it this week. Although he did pick up a very early penalty, so it'll be hard to pull back from that. We'll see if he can do it.
Well, 1.79, it shows he's quick, because he's absorbed a bit of his penalty at the top of the course, but that's a lot to come back from.
And it seems he's picked up yet another penalty as well, although the first one is now taken under review. but it seems he's picked up a penalty on gate 9 too.
So he's made multiple finals, and he's actually won a medal in the World Cup in 2019. But it's not going to be today. 6.23 seconds, that's a big margin to make up for Michał Pasiut of Poland. So paddling down this river in this carbon fibre kayak. Minimum weight 9 kilos, and just a little bit of a stutter on 19.
Yeah, catching the eddy a little too early. But he resolved it quite well, although I think he's sadly too far back to be able to be in contention for a spot.
So you can see the margins are so tight in this men's kayak semi-final. He's really done nothing wrong, but 104.15 and 15th, so outside of a place in the final. But it is Benjamin Grenier of France leading the way, 95.53, as we approach the halfway point in this men's kayak semi-finals. In fact, Juan Crespo is the 20th boat to go down. So Juan Crespo for Spain, the bronze medalist from the World Championships in 2019. He was fourth back in 2010 in the World Championships. He's made multiple World Cup finals, and he made the Olympic final as well.
Yeah, he's definitely a strong paddler, and he was quite tight in the ups and very smooth. It's important here to keep the boat running. And you can see his time is quite in contention with the race lead at the moment, so he's doing quite well on this top part. So
you could say he's a bit of a SEO specialist, which is his home course, but he has proven himself at other courses, but his best results have definitely been on his home course.
Yes, I think a lot of the Spanish are definitely SEO specialists, because La SEO is such a unique course. It's quite different from a lot of other places, so if you spend a lot of time training on there, you can definitely build up a bit of a home advantage. But yeah, he's definitely strong on other places as well, although he has lost a bit of time on this middle section, so we'll see if he can make it up on the bottom part.
Yeah, just jumped into the upstream 16 into that eddy, and were a little bit early and had to fight the water as he runs through there. So the 2.6 second deficit maybe has extended a little bit as Juan Crespo finishes his run for Spain.
Yes, the stopper before 16 can catch a little bit. If it catches too much, it's tricky, and you're a bit high in the eddy, and the eddy is quite strong.
Well, he stops the clock, 103.19 and only 13th place. So no final, unfortunately, today for Spain. But we still have another Spanish paddler. No, we don't. Oh, yes, we do, of course. David Lorente still to go. So there is still the opportunity. And he was third in the heats yesterday, so we can watch out for him later. But Erik Holmer now on course for Sweden. Olympic finalist, finished 9th in Tokyo. He's had a good season, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the first half of the season was really quite stressful because they were still working on their Olympic selections pretty much right up until the Olympics. So I think every race counted for him. And, well, he's exactly on the same split as Benjamin. But yeah, he's made it count, and he's definitely proven he was worthy of the Olympic spot by making the finals. So he's been on a good season. I'll see what he can do here.
So silky smooth so far on the top half of the course. Now approaching the business end of the course. He's now got to consolidate and deliver on the bottom part. 26 years old, lying 10th overall in the World Cup standings after 3 races. And 1.72 down, well, that is in touch. Remember, Grenier of France, our race leader, does have a lead of over 2.65 seconds at the moment. So Erik Holmer of Sweden putting in a very good run here. Just a little bit sticky, 18 to 19.
It's, yeah, like I said before, it's not called the Kraken for no reason. It is quite a sticky stopper. Oh, that was I think a light touch with the helmet there. See what the judges say, but
yeah, I saw that too, yeah. And the judges have confirmed that on the downstream gate 22.
Not yet. They're reviewing it at the moment, but
Erik Holmer of Sweden 100.87 seconds, and that doesn't include a 2-second penalty. So if that 2-second penalty is awarded on gate 22, that will move him down the order, unfortunately, and out of a place in the final. And it does. It moves him down to 12th place, confirmed on 22. So unfortunately for Erik Holmer of Sweden, no final today. So next up, Chris Bowers of Great Britain, another athlete, had a great season. He has been on the podium, 2 bronze medals at the Under-23 Worlds and the Under-23 Europeans this season.
Yeah, he's been around the circuit for quite a while. Like for such a young paddler to be on the GB team for as long as he has been, I think is quite impressive, because the GB team is quite strong and the selections are quite tough. But it's clear why he's been on the team for so long, because he's really strong, really fast paddler. Which you can see, like his first split again is very much in contention with the race lead.
Yeah, he's lying 10th overall in the World Cup standings after 3 races. 3 races in the teens in terms of results. Last weekend he was 12th, just outside the final. Can he, well, placing the final would be a great build as he goes into the World Championships.
Absolutely.
And well, 1.25 in touch. We saw Erik Holmer was in a similar position, and if you can keep it clean, deliver the bottom part, then there's a 2nd place up for grabs here.
Yeah, but it seems Benjamin Grenier has been pretty fast on the middle section then, if everyone has been losing a lot of time on this part.
So Chris Bowers, a little bit of a stumble on the way out of the upstream gate 19. It cost him a few hundredths on the clock.
Now, we've got a review on gate 14 as well.
This is where he's just got to focus on these last few gates. Now, crossing the finish line, it's going to be... The time slipped away at the bottom, 5.5 seconds, so he's lost some time at the bottom. That is a clean run provisionally, but as you say, Marta, there is a review on the downstream gate 14, but into 9th place for Chris Bowers of Great Britain.
Yeah, it's definitely a matter of being able to hold it together the whole way down, and I think we've seen quite a few athletes already who've sadly given it all away on the bottom part. It's tricky, it's very physical, and to keep the focus, keep the concentration and the physical ability, it's definitely hard.
So on course now for Germany, Tim Maxiner, 35-year-old, 2-time World Cup finalist this season, 32nd, 26th and 36th. That's not the standard that you would have expected from Tim.
Yeah, he's normally quite a strong paddler, and like I said before, again, the Germans, they are competing for their selections for the World Championships, so there is definitely an extra added layer of pressure, I think, for them. So we'll see who's going to be able to start in 2 weeks.
Yes, it's interesting because, of course, Hannes Eigner, who won a medal in Tokyo, not racing. In fact, he was racing in the extreme slalom last weekend, but not in the canoe slalom. And but I'm sure we'll see him absolutely right back for the World Championships. And Tim has closed the gap there, 1.12. That's a pretty respectable 2nd split.
Definitely. Oh, that was very, very close. Definitely cutting the lines and, well, at least giving the judges something to do. Oh.
So Tim Maxiner of Germany looking solid, looking strong,
yes,
but a 50-second penalty. And you said that, and he did wave his head at it. He left it to the judges, and 50-second penalty, and it's all over. So 0-0 in just a few moments.
Yes, well,
there.
still not completely sure. The judges are still reviewing it, but yeah, he's definitely given them a tough decision, I think. So we'll see what they're going to do with that.
Because that is a 98.52, which would be enough for 4th place at the moment, but the 50-second penalty puts him right down the order. So on the top of the course, it is Slovakia's Martin Halsin, now setting off for his attempt to make it into the final. The 30-year-old from Liptovsky Michalas in Slovakia. Again, another talented paddler, but hasn't made a final in the World Cup yet this year.
Right, okay. Yeah, he's well, he's definitely strong and quite well known on the circuit, but just picking up a touch right there.
So 3.5 down on the early split. That's a long way back from there.
Yeah, it's definitely hard with the early touch to be able to be as in contention, especially when we saw Benjamin on the... everyone has been quite in touch on the first split, I think, the last couple of paddlers. And they all seem to have lost some time on the second and third part. So I think if you're already behind on the first split, it's going to be quite... You have to be really pull it out of the bag on the bottom part to be in contention for the race lead. And I think he's lost again a little bit more time here.
5.73 now, the deficit has grown. And it's slipping away for Martin Halsin of Slovakia. Nicely
Very
done
nice.
through 19.
Very nice.
Is it too little, too late? It's certainly, he's showing his class, but I think that's too much of an ask to be able to get through into this World Cup final here in the men's kayak category. We're live from Pau in France, here at Planet Canoe, and we'll bring those finals live at 12 o'clock Central European time. That is the women's kayak, and then followed by the men's kayak finals. But into 10th place for Martin Halsin of Slovakia. And it was all undone at the top, really. And
yes.
It was a respectable run at the bottom, but the damage was done. Well, we are looking at the legend of the sport, really. Peter Kauser celebrated his 38th birthday this week.
Yeah, he's been around for a while, and I think everyone knows Peter Kauser. He's, for as long as I can remember, at least for as long as I've been in the sport, he's been one of the absolute top paddlers, and I think he's still at the top of his game, and we'll see what he's going to be able to pull out this weekend.
So he has 2 World Cup titles to his name. They were in 2011 and 2015. 2 world titles to his name, an Olympic silver medal, lots of European titles, and already he's up on the top split. Disappointment for Peter at the games in Tokyo. 12th, didn't get through into the final. I remember that was a big shock, and
yes, for sure.
He just didn't look like the vintage Peter Kauser that we expect.
You got a bit caught on the bottom there, I think, with his tail. It's not super deep there to go super far down with your tail. But yeah, I think he was probably quite disappointed to not be in the Olympic final, and I'm sure he wants to show that he's still got it. And I think right now on the second split, he's still looking really fast. So.
Yes, and of course, and he showed us that he was still on the pace by being on the podium last weekend in Laseu. He was the winner of the bronze medal, and 3 World Cups in, he has done 3 finals, including that medal. So can he make it 4 from 4, lying 4th in the World Cup standings after the first 3 races? And to be honest, it's still up for grabs, the World Cup title for Peter. He's got to get into the final. He's outside the race lead time, but critically into 4th place, 98.46, and the wrong side of the 10th really there. But he is in the mix for a place in the final. 4th for Peter Kauser, but it's looking good for Benjamin Grenier of France, our race leader, 95.53 as we start to get towards the qualifiers, being able to confirm who has qualified.
And he's ahead with quite a large gap of more than 2.5 seconds. So yeah, he's definitely looking at a pretty good position right now. So
here comes Jakub Grigor of Slovakia. Kubo Grigor on course, the Olympic silver medalist from Tokyo 2020, 2-time under 23 world champion, and when he was 5th in the Rio Games. He was disappointed last weekend. He missed out on the final, so his performance last weekend was 20th place after winning the 2nd of the World Cups in the season in Germany. Still lies in 5th place in the overall standings, so a strong result here will move him right back into the top 3.
Yeah, and he's definitely capable of putting down a strong result. He's such a fast paddler when it comes together for him, and last week, I believe it was his first time in the extreme slalom, and he was racing with my brother, and he told my brother that he didn't enjoy it so much because he doesn't like to have to beat other people to get ahead of them, because he's just such a friendly and sympathetic guy. So we'll see how he's going to get on this weekend. Oh.
So he goes a bit deep into 19, and
yes.
It looks like he holds off any penalties, but that will have cost him a bit on the clock. 1.9 was already the deficit. Well, if he can hold on to that, then he would go into 2nd place, but it looks like he's lost a little bit of time on the bottom section now. And Kubo Grigor could be a shock exit from the competition. at this stage. It's going to be outside of the final into 18th place for Jakub Grigor of Slovakia, and that's a big shot.
Yeah, definitely lost a lot of time on his bottom part. Definitely out of the crack and got so much speed into the eddy, and had to really fight back and avoid the gate. So I think it cost him a bit too much there.
So the winner of the World Cup 2 and the silver medalist from Tokyo will not be in this World Cup final. Such is the competition for places, as we now look at Mario Leitner on course for Austria. Under-23 World Championship bronze medalist. He was the 13th in Rio at the Olympic Games in 2016. And, well, strong competition, an emerging group of paddlers from Austria.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's a very large group, but the ones who are here, they're all really at the top of the field, and they have been for some time.
Felix Oshmouth being the one to watch. We'll see him up later on in this men's kayak semi-final. He got a silver medal last weekend, 4th at the Games. So
yes, and still very young, but very strong and fast. Well, Mario as well. He's also still quite a young paddler, but he's been around on the circuit for a while and shown some really good results.
So 3.63 now the deficit in the middle section at the second split. That's quite a lot to come back on, especially as we've seen just how good our race leader Benjamin Grenier of France was on this bottom section.
Yes, absolutely. He definitely won most of his time here, I suppose, because like I said before, everyone who is in touch on the first and second split, they still lose time on the last part. So yeah, it's an important part of the course, I think.
So sprinting to the finish, Mario Leitner for Austria. It's going to be outside a place in the final, into 11th place, 101.72, and there is a review going on gate 22. No penalty awarded at this point, but the video judges are looking to finalise any penalties there.
I think we're slowly moving towards the final 10. It's going to be a couple more, but
so we have 13 to go.
Yeah.
So it won't be long before we can confirm our finalists, and certainly the current race leader Benjamin Grenier of France looking very strong indeed.
He sadly jumped too high into the eddy and had to do a little S around. It's going to cost him a lot of time, I fear.
So that's Marcello Beda of Italy on course, and already, as you say, problems at the top of the course.
Yeah, it's
2
a very
seconds,
strong.
the deficit.
Well, yeah, it's a very strong eddy, and if you're jumping too high, it's quite hard to manage. I think he managed well as he could from that position, but it's rough, and I think he knows it, so it's probably hard to regain the focus and put down something when you know that you're already quite far behind.
Yes, so no penalty actually given on the downstream gate 5, but it is being reviewed at the moment by our video review judges live as we go down the course. 2.32, so considering that mistake at the top, he's actually consolidated and kept his focus.
Absolutely, he's looking at a really solid second section of the course, which I think is really impressive and shows really good sportsmanship and a really good attitude. So we'll see what he can do on the bottom part.
So the race lead still held by Benjamin Grenier of France, 95.53, then Lucas Ferro of Switzerland, then Noah Heger of Germany. That's the top 3 as we watch Marcello Beda of Italy crossing the line and into 14th place. No place in the final for Italy here, and it's that mistake at the top of the course that proved costly indeed.
Well, but also 4 seconds on the bottom part of the course, which shows again how fast Benjamin was on this part, because he was only on 2.3 on the second split, but on 6.
But I think also he was awarded a 2-second penalty in the end on gate 5 as well. But let's turn our attention to Michal Smolan of the United States of America now at the top of the course for the upstream gate 4. World Championship bronze medalist from 2015. He was 5th in Tokyo this year, and he's lying 7th in the World Cup standings overall. So he had a disappointing result last weekend. That moved him down the order, 19th last weekend, but up to that point he had a 5th and a 7th in the first 2 World Cups, so he could get back in the mix with a good result here.
It's a bit bit slower on the first split, so hopefully he can regain some time on the rest of the course.
That's a good upstream on the upstream gate 12. Does it on the sweep. Now has to come through under the bridge section and into this business end of the course. This is where the race leader, Benjamin Grenier of France, was so strong.
Did he touch the gate on with the boat or not? Well, either way, the judges will know better than me anyway.
We'll have to wait and see.
Because he's doing a nice second section, not losing a lot of time compared to Benjamin. Yeah.
And he's picked up a 2-second penalty on the upstream gate 19. I didn't see that, but that has definitely caused problems now. And well, that will be around about 3.7 deficit, and you can't afford that if you want to be inside the final. So Michal Smolin of the United States of America goes into 13th place, and again, another athlete not progressing through into the final. And well, he currently lies in 7th place in the World Cup standings, but he will drop down because of that, because the double points up for grabs. Others would seize the opportunity.
Yes, for sure. Seems a lot of athletes the past couple of ones have come down anyway, have finished around the +6 seconds, so there's a bit of a cluster forming there, which is quite a big gap from the leading time at the moment. So we'll see what the next couple can do before the queues start, which should be quite soon.
11 still to finish, and as you say, it won't be long before we can confirm our qualifiers. But on course, Felix Oschmautz of Austria, in form at the moment. He was silver medalist last weekend at the 3rd World Cup of the season, just off the podium at the Olympic Games in 4th place, despite a paddle back.
Yes, for sure.
In Tokyo. So he's definitely finding his form at the right time. And also actually on silver medalist in Markkleeberg in Germany. So lying in 3rd place in the World Cup standings overall. He is very much a contender for this year's World Cup series overall.
Yeah, he's very strong, and he's been very consistent this season, like you said, so looking very good on the second split.
Well, he's the only one to have managed to hold on to an advantage at the second split, since
exactly.
Grenier went into the race lead. There is a review on gate 14 at the moment, no penalty showing. So let's just focus on the bottom gates for Felix Oschmautz of Austria. He is looking for a place in the final in order to keep that challenge on the World Cup overall title for 2021, which will be crowned later on today. It's going to be a great time for Felix Oschmautz of Austria. Is it enough for the race lead? It is 94.97, and he goes into the race lead by over half a second. Great stuff, Felix. Surely we will see you in the final. I have to say, there is still an asterisk on his name, but even with a penalty, or even with a 2-second penalty, he would be in a very strong position for a place in the final.
Absolutely, he was very fast, keeping it clean, showing some really good lines, so yeah, we should definitely be seeing him this afternoon.
So next up for France, Boris Neveu, the world champion of 2014, on course now. So Oschmautz leads for Austria, then Grenier for France in second, Vero of Switzerland in third, and Boris Neveu, you can always rely on him. He's such a consistent performer.
He is, and like all of the French, he knows it here really well. He looks very confident and in control.
Lying 6th in the overall World Cup standings after 3 races with 21st. He didn't get his series off to a good start, but since then he was on the podium in the 2nd race, bronze medal in Germany, then 5th last weekend. But a touch on the upstream 11.
Yeah, the touch might prove to be costly, but at the moment the gaps are still big enough, I think, that if you have a really fast time, you can absorb a touch. So we'll see.
So 3 seconds down on the split time. So he is in the mix for a top 3 place, but he cannot afford to lose any more time. The pressure on the French must be pretty high.
I'm guessing so, but also the excitement to race in front of a home crowd and have so many people cheering you on with such passion. Like it's pressure, but it's also giving you such positive energy, I think.
Well, it's going to be close, and it's going to be outside of race lead time, and the time slipped away at the end, and into 6th place for Boris Neveu of France.
And Felix Oshmat is now the first one to be qualified for the finals.
Good spot. Well done, Felix. We will see you in the finals later on. Of course, you can follow that live. We start with at 12 o'clock Central European time with the women's kayak final, and then immediately afterwards go into the men's kayak final. So next up for Slovenia, Nico Testen on course. 6th last weekend, and didn't do the early World Cups of the season.
Ooh.
But an early penalty there on the upstream gate 4.
Yeah, he's another strong paddler. Quite young, but I think he's been around, especially in the U23 circuit, for quite a bit, and showing that he can get on well with the senior level as well in the Slovenian team, and doing all right, although a bit slow on the first split, which is because of the touch.
And there is a review on the downstream gate 5. I didn't see anything, but that's not my job. That's down to the judges to determine if there's a penalty to go on there. But Nico Testen now up against it as he comes into the second split. 3.15, so he has stemmed the flow. He has stopped the rot. Now he's got to be quick through here.
I think the judges have a hard job, especially in the K1 men where things get so tight. It's yeah, you want to be as fair as possible, and it's sometimes quite hard to see, I think. So I hope for him that the right call is being made.
Well, I'm sure it will be. There's plenty of camera angles
Absolutely.
through the course. But did he just brush the downstream gate 23 there? We'll have to wait and see.
So,
but Nico Testen of Slovenia will cross the line, 99.89, and there is a review
Yes,
on the
exactly.
downstream gate 23. So 9th place at the moment, and still a little bit of a review to go to finalise that result for Nico Testen. But we're in the sharp end of racing here at the men's kayak semi-finals here at the ICF Canoe Slalom World Cup final. We're in Pau in the Pyrenees. The sun is shining, and we are setting up for a great culmination to this men's kayak semi-final, and of course the finals coming up in the women's kayak and men's kayak at 12 o'clock Central European time, which you can follow live at Planet Canoe. In and out of the upstream gate 4 for our next competitor, Mateo Duguid of Switzerland, 13th at Tokyo, and of course he won the World Cup here in 2020 last year.
Yes, another Pau local, spent a lot of time here, training a lot, and I think exactly last year it really paid off during the World Cup, so I'm sure he's hoping to at least secure himself another final spot this year. And so far he's going all right, very tight on the upstreams.
Yeah, it takes some high risks, which is always exciting to watch for
Absolutely.
us as spectators. And he's certainly no holds barred as he comes into the bottom section of the course. 0.77 down, in touch at the first split, and he has found time in the middle section. 0.55 the deficit, so this is a great run coming together.
Really cutting the lines. And
so at the moment, Felix Oshmaus for Austria and Benjamin Grenier of France are qualified through, but it's all gone wrong. A 2-second penalty on the upstream 19.
Yeah, the Kraken sadly kicked up his nose a little bit and flung it against the gate, so that's got to hurt.
Well, it's not all over, but he's certainly cutting the lines.
Yes.
At 23, he has asked the question of the judge, and did he hit gate 24 as well?
Oh.
It's a bit busy at the bottom for the judges, and only 19th place for Martin Duguid of Switzerland. So it just shows how you can deliver most of the run supremely, but you have to deliver all 24 gates if you want to get into the final. So it does mean, though, that Switzerland's Lucas Verro is in the final.
Yes,
so well done to Lucas.
Switzerland or Switzerland last competitor then, but well, we're looking now at one of the world's best. I think Fit is so fast. I know in Ivrea this year at the European Championships, he took all of the gold medals. So in the K1 men, in the K1 men teams race, and also in the extreme, he just took all of the gold, and he should be capable of taking a gold here as well, I think.
Well, he took gold last weekend in Spain, and of course he's the series leader going into this World Cup final, so critical to get into the final of this men's kayak competition if he wants to take a second World Cup winner crown in his career. He won the World Cup overall in 2017, and of course he's got a good record on this course. He was a silver medalist at the World Championships in 2017 by, I think it was 1/100th of a second.
Wow, okay.
I think such was the competition between the competitors that that was the margin that determined it. But rejected on the first attempt on 19, he flicks it back round. He doesn't lose much time.
It was very good save for sure. He was a little too early into the up, but he managed to definitely minimize the damage here. And
7th in World Cup 1, 6th in World Cup 2, 1st in World Cup 3. His trajectory is going in the right direction, and into the final. 3rd place, 97.63. There is a review going on the gate 14. There's no penalty showing at the moment, but provisionally Witt is into the final. So Osmout, Grenier, Prindis and Vero all into the final. And 6 boats to go in this men's kayak semi-final here. We're live from Pau in the French Pyrenees. And Finn Butcher of New Zealand now on course. 4th at the Under-23 Worlds in 2018. Lying 15th overall in the World Cup standings. And he's had a pretty good season so far.
yeah, he has, and he's been showing a lot of strength. He wasn't selected for the Olympics. His teammate Callum went, but he's shown a lot of progress, and now he's down on the first split. He's up on the first split, I mean.
So inside our race lead time for Finn Butcher, so it's a good start. But we know from so many paddlers coming down that it's all about delivering through the whole 24 gates. But it's a good start for Butcher of New Zealand as he comes through gate 13.
For sure, if he manages to hold on to this and to not make any mistakes, he should be all right.
New Zealand already have a finalist, Luca Jones, in the women's kayak final. That'll be up at 12 o'clock Central European time today. Follow it live at Planet Canoe. And Finn is really taking the attack to our race leader, Felix Osmout of Austria. 0.49 the advantage. Wouldn't it be good to get him in the final?
Ooh. What's that? Yeah, that was a touch. That was a costly touch, because he was definitely in touch with the race lead.
And another penalty on 23, I fear, for Finn Butcher of New Zealand. We'll have to wait and see. But again, at the bottom of the course, the sting in the tail, and it looks like it's bitten again for Finn Butcher, who has to settle for, well, 10th place provisionally, but I believe there's a further review going on at the bottom of the course.
23, I believe.
So bad news for New Zealand, but that's good news for Germany. Noah Heger is into the final. Peter Kauser now sitting on the bubble, waiting to see if he has done enough. And, well, it's Slovenia against Slovenia. They know they've got a finalist.
Absolutely.
Who will it be? Because Martin Srebotnik is on course. And he made the final last weekend. He was 8th last weekend, his first final of this World Cup season, lying 13th in the overall standings. But we can expect him to be fast. He was finalist at the World Championships here in 2017 on this course.
Yes, but he's quite lost quite a lot of time on his top section. Got a little bit caught on the spin, and it's going to be well. It's not bad enough that he would be out of the final, because there is still a 3.5 second margin between the next athlete to qualify, so he is definitely still in contention for a final spot, but he is going to have to really push it on the bottom part.
Yeah, let's have a look. There is a review going on the upstream gate 12, and at the moment he has, as you say, he's held his deficit 2.5 seconds down, so he is still in contention,
and
assuming there isn't a penalty given on 12.
Yeah, he's really taking all the risks, trying to keep it together. It's very sticky there on the Kraken, and to keep the balance, keep the edge, it's tough, especially if you want to make some speed like he has.
So an update, Finn Butcher did have an extra penalty added onto his time, so 16th place at the moment for Finn Butcher of New Zealand, as we watch Martin Swobodnik of Slovenia only going into 17th place. So it is bad news for Martin, but it's good news for Peter Kauser, his compatriot, who is confirmed as into the final. And well, this is setting up very nicely for a showdown for the overall World Cup Series champion of 2021.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very exciting final this afternoon, I think. I think the whole crowd will turn up. It's already getting really busy down here at the course in Pau. Lots of local supporters. And yeah, for the final, it's going to really turn up, I think.
So on course now, Lucien Delfour of Australia, who of course is another athlete originating from France.
Yes, the French are spreading out everywhere, I think, because there's so many good athletes here, and to make the team, it's really, really tough. So anyone who has the passport for another country, I think, will take that opportunity.
So he was 8th at the Tokyo Olympic Games for Australia, 8th in the 2019 World Championships, so a regular contender in the finals. Always a big risk taker, Lucien, and never afraid to neck a gate and leave it up to the judges, but he's looking very smooth and composed and in control. 1.5 seconds down at the second split. This is absolutely what's required for a place in this afternoon's final.
Yes, it's looking very nice, very decent, smooth and in control. So if he manages to keep it up here, sprinting a little bit on under the Kraken, but I don't think anything too dramatic. So if he manages to keep this up, he should... ooh, was that a touch? Yes.
99.56 is the time to beat for an automatic place in the final.
Oh. Yes, that's what I was thinking.
I
was like, did he go through or not? But no, he went above the gate, I believe. So that's such a shame.
It's funny, we both did the same thing. Yes. We did a double take there. I just thought, I'm sure he just didn't do that gate. And he, unfortunately, the bows of the boat, he got the kick, didn't he? Put the tail down, and that is unfortunate for Lucien Delfour of Australia. We won't see him in the final, but it's good news for the French, because Boris Neveu is now confirmed into the final. So 3 to go in this men's kayak semi-final here, live from Pau in France. It's the men's kayak semi-finals at the World Cup final. And David Lorente of Spain now, silver medalist from the World Championships in 2019, on course, 10th in Tokyo. Now, what can he do? A bit sticky on the top section.
Yes,
off the
still
course.
Trying to push it really hard, and in touch on the first split, so doing all right. Another French athlete waiting for the next final spot, Mateo Biasizo. So it's going to be 1 or 2 Frenchies in the finals, depending on how David here is doing.
Well, we've got some big names still to come. The 3 to come. David Lorente, we're watching now for Spain. Then we've got Giovanni De Gennaro of Italy, who is lying second in the World Cup standings. And then the Olympic champion from Rio 2016, Great Britain's Joe Clark. So
very nice on the second split as well.
David Lorente is definitely doing what's required in this semi-final. All about just taking risks, but not too much.
Yes, I think on this bottom part, it's everyone has been struggling a little bit this part. So if he can manage to not take too many risks now and just try to pull it down smoothly and steadily, then I think he's still looking at a final place.
You're right, he does have a 2-second penalty, but it is probably still enough to be inside. He needs to be inside. 99.61. Oh, and it slipped away at the bottom. And 13th place for David Lorente of Spain. That's a big surprise, because he was in contention.
For sure.
And, well, it slipped away. The bottom has, the sting in the tail has struck again. But good news for France, because France have 3 men's kayak in the final. So Mateo Biasizo joins the Boris Neveu compatriot and Benjamin Grenier. So that'll be a noisy final later on.
Absolutely, it's going to be noisy and it's going to be very exciting, I think.
So on course now, 2 to go, and it is Giovanni De Gennaro of Italy, who you can always guarantee to put in a strong performance. 3 finals from 3 World Cups so far this season, 2nd, 4th, 9th. That's his performances so far, so super consistent, and he's up on the top split.
Very nice upstream.
He was 14th in Tokyo, which was a big surprise, actually. I think for many people, for me, I thought he would be on the podium in Tokyo.
Yes, he was definitely one of the contenders for a medal, but yeah, it's a tricky. Anything can happen in a race, and there's so much pressure on it at the Olympics, especially. So yeah, you never know what's going to happen. And so sadly for him, no. But now he's looking really, really good. It's faster on the second split, so we'll see if he manages to not mess up the bottom part, which everyone has been struggling with so much. So
not many people have managed to take an advantage into that second split, so it is a good position to be in. Even if he takes a 2-second penalty, then he is probably still in a strong enough position to make it through into the final. Absolutely. Giovanni De Janeiro goes for gold here. His first job is to make it into the final. It's going to be comfortably inside that time. 99.77 the time to beat, and
yeah,
well inside into
nicely.
third place.
Very nice.
Well done, Giovanni. We'll see you later on in the final. So Felix Oschmaut still leading for Austria, ahead of Benjamin Grenier of France, and now Giovanni De Gennaro for Italy. That's our top three. Of course, the final will be the reverse order of this semi-final performance. One boat still to go, and it's essentially Thomas Bersinger of Argentina against Great Britain's Joe Clark for that final spot. The Olympic champion of Rio 2016 is on course.
Yeah, he's a very strong paddler, and the fact alone that he didn't make the selections for Tokyo just shows how fast and strong the GB team can be, that the Olympic champion doesn't make the second selections. But I think he's been on a campaign to show this season that he is still one of the absolute top athletes in the world. And he's looking fast on the first split.
0.35 down on the top split, but that's comfortably in a good position for a place in the final. Joe was finalist at the Europeans earlier on this year, finishing 9th, 5th at the last World Championships, and in fact he got married only about 10 days ago.
Yes, he did. I believe when he went to Losail, he actually came down 1 or 2 days later than the rest of the team to spend at least a few days with his new wife. So yeah, I guess this is sort of his version of a honeymoon then, perhaps.
I suspect they're waiting to save the honeymoon for another time, but I guess that's the life of an elite athlete on the international circuit, isn't it? But
Absolutely.
It's a good performance coming together. 1.35 on the second split down, but a very controlled, composed performance. If he can keep it clean on the bottom section, this will be good enough for a place in the final. 99.77 is the time for an automatic place in the final. He's going to be inside that. It's going to be close, but inside that and
yes.
into 8th place. Joe Clark of Great Britain into the final. Well done, Joe. And, well, it's all lined up to be a superb final, because
Absolutely.
we have the top 4 in the World Cup standings overall. All of them are in the final. Double points, of course, in the World Cup final, up for grabs.
Yeah,
and the
really
likes of Joe Clark,
for,
who's lying in 11th, could move right up the order with a good performance in the final.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very exciting final this afternoon, I think.
So here's the results, the top 10. These athletes will be in the final. And it is, well, Felix Oschmaut, who is our race leader in the semi-final. He'll go off last in the final. Benjamin Grenier, Giovanni De Gennaro, Vit Prindis, Lucas Varro, Noah Heger, Peter Kauser, Joseph Clark, Boris Naveau, and Mateo Biedzitso. And then missing out, we have the likes of Jakob Grigor missing out, Lucien Delfour of Australia, a surprise omission on that 50-second penalty. And, well, so close for Argentina. 11th place for Thomas Bersinger.
Very close,
just
yes.
missing out on a place in the final. So that concludes the racing here in the semi-finals of the women's kayak and the men's kayak. But, of course, we have the final coming up in, well, just over 30 minutes' time. So 12 o'clock Central European time. We will bring you live from Pau the final of the women's kayak and the men's kayak, and we'll see who gets crowned the World Cup champion of 2021 in those categories. And of course, live throughout the weekend. We're live tomorrow with the men's canoe and the women's canoe. That gets underway at 9 o'clock Central European time. And the finals at 11:30 Central European time, and then the extreme slalom in the afternoon. Well, myself, Andy Mallock, we've brought you all the information as we've unfolded. We'll be back at 12 o'clock Central European time, and of course alongside me, thank you very much, Marcia Otten of the Netherlands team, for your informed commentary over the course of the morning.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a fun, good view of a very exciting race, so thank you.
Great stuff. We'll see you again in just over half an hour with the finals. Bye for now.